Phoenix Nights. Chapter 2463. Lin Feng began to try to refine the white tiger origin bone into his leg. As long as he succeeded, he would be able to cultivate the white tiger aura. Lin Feng wanted to refine the white tiger origin bone into the place where the thigh bone and the tibia bone connected. This place happened to be where the knee was connected. There was a gap. He could refine the white tiger origin bone into it. Lin Feng took out a dagger, cut this part, and then stuffed the white tiger origin bone into it. Next, Lin Feng activated the immortal divine body and his flesh and blood regenerated. The new blood that grew wrapped around the white tiger origin bone. Then, Lin Feng began to activate the archaic dragonesque elephant art. Waves of archaic dragonesque elephant power surged into the white tiger origin bone. Under the effect of the archaic dragonesque elephant power, the white tiger origin bone gradually began to fuse with Lin Feng's bones. There's no rejection? Lin Feng couldn't help but reveal a look of joy. He thought that he would be able to refine the white tiger origin bone smoothly. But soon, Lin Feng realized that something was wrong. Waves of terrifying aura began to surge out of the white tiger origin bone. Bang! Lin Feng's body was directly sent flying by the terrifying power from the white tiger origin bone. Barf! Lin Feng couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood, and his face became as pale as paper. Puff! The white tiger origin bone continued to vibrate with terrifying power. That was a terrifying power. It directly pierced through Lin Feng's body. Countless wounds appeared on Lin Feng's body. It was as if he was riddled with holes. Lin Feng's face became extremely pale. The white tiger origin bone had caused great damage to his body. Now that the white tiger origin bone was in Lin Feng's body, if this continued, it would obviously have an extremely adverse effect on Lin Feng. It could even harm his life. Lin Feng also knew that the current situation was quite bad for him. He hurriedly circulated his immortal divine body to heal his injured body. At the same time, he began to circulate his supreme aura to suppress the terrifying power that was being released by the white tiger origin bone in his body. The reason why Lin Feng didn't circulate his epic dominance was because he was worried that if his epic dominance couldn't suppress the white tiger source bone, it would be too late to circulate his epic dominance. He might as well get it done once and for all and directly activate his supreme aura. The white tiger source bone was gradually suppressed by the supreme tyrannical aura. However, the white tiger source bone was rejecting Lin Feng's body. This made Lin Feng's expression very ugly. This was because the white tiger source bone was related to the white tiger haki, and Lin Feng was very eager to successfully cultivate the white tiger haki. This was cyan haki, such a terrifying haki. Once he successfully cultivated it, how much would his battle strength increase? However, now that the white tiger origin bone rejected his body, Lin Feng felt that he might not have the opportunity to cultivate the white tiger aura. Therefore, he was extremely depressed now. However, Lin Feng was not a person who gave up easily. He began to circulate the white tiger's murderous aura. All of the white tiger's murderous aura was poured into the white tiger source bone by Lin Feng. Lin Feng hoped that the white tiger source bone would gradually adapt to his body after sensing the white tiger's murderous aura and stop resisting his body. To Lin Feng's surprise, more and more white tiger's murderous aura poured into the white tiger source bone. The white tiger source bone's resistance to him was gradually weakening. Not long after, the white tiger source bone no longer resisted Lin Feng's body. Ha 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 ha! Looks like I'm going to successfully refine the white tiger source bone. Lin Feng immediately laughed loudly. Time passed. 6 hours later. Lin Feng had finally managed to absorb the white tiger's original bone. The white tiger source bone and Lin Feng's bones fused together, becoming a part of him. The white tiger source bone was the same as the sacred bone that Lin Feng had refined previously. They both contained great power. Lin Feng could activate the white tiger source bone and use its power. I've finally succeeded in refining the white tiger source bone. I can now try to cultivate the white tiger aura. Lin Feng's face lit up with joy. Cultivating the white tiger aura was not an easy task. Lin Feng knew this very well. However, Lin Feng had enough patience and confidence to successfully cultivate the white tiger aura. Deep into the night, Lin Feng cooked a sumptuous meal. Bibi and Dragon Rabbit were drowsy after eating. The two of them had been playing crazily during this period, so they were very tired and had been sleeping for the past few days. However, Lil Tian Tian was full of energy. Lin Feng sent Bibi and Dragon Rabbit into the mountain river ring to rest while Lil Tian Tian and Lin Feng sat together and chatted. Lil Tian Tian was still young, so many of her questions were amusing. Having such a small child by his side was quite delightful. Of course, the most important thing was that Lil Tian Tian's cultivation was very strong. If he encountered any danger that he could not deal with, he could work with Lil Tian Tian. With Lil Tian Tian around, everything could be easily solved. The depths of the island were very dangerous. Many powerful beasts were active here. Now that the sweet sound flower had matured, many powerful beasts had entered the depths of the island to search for it. Therefore, it was common to see cultivators fighting beasts in the depths of the island. There were not many sweet sound flowers in the depths of the island. Moreover, the places where the sweet sound flowers grew were often densely covered with terrifying restrictions. Therefore, it was very difficult to harvest them. Lin Feng and Lil Tian Tian collected a total of 12 sweet sound flowers. Eat! Lil Tian Tian knew that the sweet sound flower could increase the power of one's soul. She held a sweet sound flower in her hand and wanted to eat it directly. However, when she saw the thorny sweet sound flower, she could not bring herself to eat it. Lil Tian Tian pouted. When Lin Feng saw that, he couldn't help but laugh. "We can take the sweet sound flower and exchange it for pills," Lin Feng said. Lil Tian Tian nodded and handed the sweet sound lake in her hand to Lin Feng. More and more cultivators entered the sweet sound island in search of the sweet sound flower. Lin Feng and Lil Tian Tian searched for a few more days but did not find any. There were very few sweet sound flowers in the first place. Many of them had already been taken. Perhaps there were some more secluded places like the Sweet Sound Lake. However, it would be very difficult to find them. Lin Feng planned to leave the Sweet Sound Lake. Although 12 Sweet Sound flowers were not a lot, it was a good harvest for other cultivators. After leaving, Lin Feng and Lil Tian Tian flew in the direction of the 9 States Immortal Kingdom. Along the way, Lin Feng and Lil Tian Tian were attacked by countless soul-splitting birds. These soul-splitting birds formed flocks. It was said that even the smallest flock had tens of millions of soul-splitting birds gathered together. Chapter 2464. The densely packed soul-splitting birds attacked Lin Feng and Little Tian Tian. Lin Feng discovered that there were simply too many of these social creatures in the 9 continents paradise. For example, they had encountered the skeletal lizards and the demonic sonar bugs. Now, there was a flock of soul-splitting birds. This was especially true for this flock of soul-splitting birds. There were simply too many of them. Even ants could bite an elephant to death, let alone so many soul-splitting birds. Thus, the current situation was extremely bad for Lin Feng and Little Tian Tian. Lin Feng summoned the purple gold heavenly ball to protect him and Little Tian Tian. However, as time passed, the defensive barrier created by the purple gold heavenly ball was gradually being destroyed. Lin Feng's expression turned grave. The current situation was extremely bad. It would not be easy to kill their way out of this endless flock of soul-splitting birds. "Uncle Lin, do you hear that sound?" Suddenly, Little Tian Tian said. "Sound? What sound?" "Uncle did not hear it," Lin Feng said. Little Tian Tian heard it. "It seems like someone is playing a flute," Little Tian Tian said. "Playing a flute?" Lin Feng was shocked. As far as the eye could see, there were only soul-splitting birds everywhere. There was no one here at all. Could someone be playing a flute? Did Little Tian Tian hear wrongly? Or did he not hear it? Lin Feng listened carefully. He could faintly hear the sound of a flute. "There really is the sound of a flute. It seems to be coming from the northwest," Lin Feng said in shock. Little Tian Tian pointed in a certain direction. She was also pointing in the northwest. However, the little girl was too young and did not know how to tell directions. She did not know how to express herself verbally. Thus, she could only express herself physically. Could someone be controlling the soul-splitting birds? Lin Feng thought of a possibility. Then, his face filled with shock. This was too inconceivable. It was too shocking. It was too inconceivable. How could such a large flock of soul-splitting birds be controlled by someone? However, there were indeed many beast-controlling sects in this world. Those sects knew how to control all kinds of beasts. However, the cultivators of those sects were able to control some herds of beasts and insects, but only on a small scale. The number of soul-cleaving birds was simply too great. There were probably hundreds of millions of them. It was simply inconceivable that it could be controlled by someone. Lin Feng and little Tian Tian weaved through the flock of soul-splitting birds. Very quickly, they saw a huge soul-splitting bird. That god-splitting bird was actually over 10 meters long, and its entire body was golden. On the god-splitting bird's body, there was also a woman sitting there. At this moment, the woman was playing a flute. The woman was wearing clothes made of animal skin. Looking at the way they dressed, they looked very wild. This was because her clothes only covered a few important parts of her body. For example, the clothes on her upper body only covered her breasts. The clothes on the lower half of her body covered her buttocks. Lin Feng really wanted to ask Beauty, "Aren't you cold dressed like this?" However, he would probably be beaten up by that woman, right? "Wow, it's a beautiful big sister," little Tian Tian said. Lin Feng rolled his eyes and said, "What beautiful big sister? She's the one who controlled the flock of soul-splitting birds to attack us. Then little Tian Tian doesn't like her anymore," little Tian Tian said. "Beauty, we have no enmity between us in the past. If you let us go now, why don't we make a new friend?" Lin Feng said in a low voice. The woman chuckled and said, "You can be considered to have some ability since you're still alive after being trapped by the Godren birds for such a long time. Now, if you submit to this princess and become this princess' male slave, then this princess will spare your life," Lin Feng said. "Princess? Are you the princess of the 9 provinces Immortal Kingdom? I know Zhao Liner. Do you know her? Are you sisters? However, there's a huge difference in your dressing style. How about you let us go today for Zhao Liner's sake?" "Humph." Unexpectedly, the woman snorted and said, "Zhao Liner is my mortal enemy. Don't you know that? Guya? You're called Guya? What a nice name. It's as beautiful as you," Lin Feng said. This bold and unrestrained woman was indeed a top-notch woman. Whether it was her figure or her face, they could all be considered top-notch. She was a rare beauty in the human world. "Glib tongue. Since you're Zhao Liner's friend, I can't let you live," Guya said coldly. She was about to give the order to attack Lin Feng and little Tian Tian. Lin Feng realized that Guya seemed to have a bad relationship with Zhao Liner. They were not sisters at all. Lin Feng had heard that there was a 9 provinces Immortal Kingdom in the 9 provinces Immortal Realm. That was why Guya had said that she was a princess. He had mistakenly thought that Guya was a princess of the 9 provinces Immortal Kingdom. However, it seemed like that wasn't the case. Lin Feng had misunderstood. Who said that one had to establish a country to become a princess? For example, the chiefs of some ancient tribes liked to give themselves some resounding titles. Perhaps Guya's father was the chief of some tribe and called himself an emperor. Guya could naturally be called a princess, said Lin Feng hastily. "Beauty, it's a misunderstanding. I didn't tell you the truth. Actually, I've only met Zhao Liner once. We're not friends, we're just acquaintances. I thought you and Zhao Liner were sisters, so I lied. Now I'll tell you the truth, I don't like that woman either. She goes out with hundreds of people, she looks like a nouveau riche. I despise people like that the most. Alright, I'll give you one last chance. Swear to be my male slave, or choose to die. Choose one of these 2 paths," Guya said. This woman had a kind of exotic charm, like a wild Persian cat, as if she needed a man to conquer her. That kind of high and mighty gaze made Lin Feng feel very uncomfortable. He wanted nothing more than to capture her and teach her a good lesson. Lin Feng said, "You want me to be your male slave? I also want you to be my female slave. This young master doesn't mind having a female slave like you by my side." "What did you say?" Guya looked at Lin Feng in disbelief. Right now, Lin Feng's situation could be said to be extremely dangerous. If she gave the order, this guy would die in the Yellow Springs. In such a situation, shouldn't Lin Feng bow and scrape? Even if he didn't want to be her male slave, he should at least try to negotiate, right? But Lin Feng didn't do that. Instead, he arrogantly wanted to take her as his female slave. Chapter 2465. Guya looked at Lin Feng angrily and said, "Do you know what you're saying? Do you know how stupid your actions are? Do you know the price of infuriating me?" The furious Guya asked Lin Feng 3 questions in a row. Her charming eyes glared at Lin Feng fiercely. Guya was a very proud woman. Of course, she had the right to be proud. Guya's cultivation was very powerful. In addition, she could control the soul-splitting birds. No cultivator of the younger generation dared to provoke her. Even cultivators of the older generation had to take a detour when they saw her. Lin Feng was surrounded by the soul-splitting birds, yet he was still so arrogant. This made Guya feel that Lin Feng was looking down on her. Guya was not someone with a good temper. She was very beautiful. However, being beautiful had nothing to do with having a good temper. Guya belonged to the type of people who were high and mighty. She could take someone's life at the slightest disagreement. How could such a person, who was decisive and vicious, have a good temper? Lin Feng smiled at Guya and said, "You're so beautiful, but your temper is a little bad. However, if I train you well for a while, your temper should improve. Then, you'll definitely become an obedient servant girl." "You are courting death!" Guya screamed in anger. Someone actually dared to provoke her and look down on her like this. Guya could not tolerate this. Now Guya only had one thought. She wanted to capture this detestable person in front of her. Then, she would ruthlessly torture him. At that time, she would watch him kneel in front of her and beg her to take him as her slave. Guya picked up her flute and began to play it, controlling the soul-splitting birds to attack Lin Feng. Lin Feng was not very far from Guya now. The reason why Lin Feng had fallen out with Guya was because he was very close to her. If he and little Tian Tian attacked Guya, they would most likely be able to suppress her. Guya was indeed able to control a huge flock of god-splitting birds. However, the biggest mistake Guya had made was that she shouldn't have allowed him to find her. Lin Feng believed that Guya must have seen him and little Tian Tian looking for her. But Guya didn't care about that at all. As far as she was concerned, so what if she was found? In her eyes, Lin Feng and Xiao Tiantian couldn't do anything. "Little girl, do it," Lin Feng said. Boom! Then, he unleashed his epic dominance. Epical Haki released a powerful deterrent force. It directly enveloped the surrounding god-splitting birds that were flying over. The densely packed soul-splitting birds were sent flying by Ji Jie's domineering aura. Lin Feng and Xiao Tiantian rushed towards Guya. Guya clearly hadn't expected Lin Feng and little Tian Tian to be able to get close to her so quickly. She was slightly surprised, but then she sneered. Guya took out a small golden bell. The small golden bell flew out as fast as lightning. The small golden bell sucked Lin Feng and little Tian Tian into it. Then, the small golden bell quickly shrank and flew towards Guya. "You dared to jump around in front of me with such a weak cultivation?" Guya couldn't help but snort. Bang, bang, bang! At that moment, a series of muffled sounds rang out from the small golden bell. Inside the small golden bell, little Tian Tian waved her little fists and punched the small golden bell again and again. Little Tian Tian's strength was too terrifying. She didn't rely on her physical strength. Instead, there was an earth-shattering magic power within her body. Lin Feng didn't know how such boundless magic power had appeared in little Tian Tian's body. However, little Tian Tian was able to easily use such powerful magic power. It was simply unbelievable. Even Lin Feng wasn't sure if he could use such powerful magic power. Little Tian Tian's origins were simply too mysterious. Gu Ya's treasure was able to instantly suck Lin Feng and little Tian Tian into it. It was obvious how powerful this treasure was. However, under little Tian Tian's attacks, the treasure's luster had dimmed. Not long after, little Tian Tian's attacks caused the treasure to lose a great deal of its divine nature. Lin Feng and little Tian Tian flew out of the small golden bell. This treasure would probably be unusable for a while. Little Tian Tian hates you. After flying out, little Tian Tian snorted and threw a punch at Gu Ya. Lin Feng used the 8 God-sealing seals to seal Gu Ya. Although he didn't want to admit it, Lin Feng knew that there was still a huge gap between his cultivation and little Tian Tian's. Therefore, when Lin Feng and little Tian Tian worked together, little Tian Tian was usually the main attacker. Lin Feng supported her from the side. They worked together very well. This time, it was the same. Gu Ya had thought that Lin Feng and little Tian Tian wouldn't be able to escape this time. Who would have thought that little Tian Tian would be so ferocious that she could break the small golden bell with her tender fists? It was too late for Gu Ya to retreat, but she didn't want to fight little Tian Tian and Lin Feng head-on. Gu Ya waved her right hand, and a Milky Way world appeared between her, Lin Feng, and little Tian Tian. This divine ability was called the Milky Way. With a light stroke, a Milky Way would appear between heaven and earth. It seemed to be very close. When one wanted to cross this distance, it was as if they were separated by a Milky Way world. Gu Ya's divine ability was really powerful. If Lin Feng were to break this divine ability of hers, even Lin Feng might not be able to do so. However, little Tian Tian was too powerful. Little Tian Tian could crush any cultivator of the younger generation, and even any cultivator of the older generation. Lin Feng had once thought that, unless the emperor himself came, or else, no one was a match for little Tian Tian. Gu Ya was no exception. Little Tian Tian directly waved her tender fists and smashed them directly at the Milky Way world that Gu Ya had condensed. Bang! The Milky Way world collapsed. Little Tian Tian's incomparably violent punch formed a powerful fist intent and directly sent Gu Ya and the giant god-splitting bird she was sitting on flying. Gu Ya's heart was filled with shock. Was this the strength that a 5 or 6-year-old girl should have? Was she dreaming? Wasn't this little girl's cultivation too abnormal? How could she be so powerful? All kinds of thoughts flashed through her mind, but Gu Ya's movements didn't slow down at all. She quickly retreated, wanting to quickly increase the distance between them. However, at this moment, Lin Feng had already arrived beside Gu Ya. He used the 8 divine seals to condense dense array patterns. Those array patterns wrapped around Gu Ya's body. They directly sealed all the magic power in Gu Ya's body. Chapter 2466. Gu Ya had never imagined that she would be sealed by Lin Feng. She was in control of the God-splitter birds, and she had a powerful cultivation. Now that she had fallen into Lin Feng's hands, Gu Ya didn't even dare to imagine what the consequences would be. In Gu Ya's opinion, Lin Feng was definitely not a kind person. He might really do something beastly to her. Gu Ya was extremely confident in her looks. In Gu Ya's eyes, Lin Feng was the type of person who was a pervert. Tsk. Now that you're in my hands, how do you think I should deal with you? Lin Feng reached out and grabbed Gu Ya's waist, preventing her from falling. Screech! The God-splitter bird king was psychic. When it saw that Gu Ya had been captured, it immediately let out a series of ear-piercing screeches, seemingly threatening Lin Feng, telling him to release Gu Ya. Otherwise, he would have to bear the consequences. Lin Feng sneered. Hurry up and leave with the God-splitter birds. Otherwise, do you believe that I won't destroy you? The God-splitter bird king's pupils constricted when it heard Lin Feng's words. Clearly, it was very afraid of this matter. However, it didn't leave. Lin Feng looked at Gu Ya and said, I'll have to trouble you to let the Godsplitter Bird King lead the Godsplitter Birds away. I believe that you don't want to see the Godsplitter Bird King die here, right? Are you threatening me? Gu Ya gnashed her teeth as she looked at Lin Feng. She wanted nothing more than to bite Lin Feng to death. However, she couldn't do that. She was now Lin Feng's prisoner. Even though she was gnashing her teeth, she could only endure it for now. I'm not threatening you. I'm giving you a chance. If you don't know what's good for you, I don't mind killing this annoying bird, Lin Feng said calmly. Humph. Gu Ya snorted. Gu Ya grunted coldly, and then she gazed at the Godren Bird King and said, Take the Godren birds and leave for now. The soul-splitting Bird King let out several cries. It looked rather anxious, clearly communicating with Gu Ya about something. However, Lin Feng couldn't understand what it was trying to say. Gu Ya also used a strange voice to communicate with the soul-splitting bird monarch. They were obviously doing this on purpose, not wanting Lin Feng to know what they were talking about. Lin Feng was too lazy to care about this. In the end, the soul-splitting Bird King chose to lead its flock away. Before leaving, the soul-splitting bird monarch said to Lin Feng, If you dare harm Ya, I will not let you off. Naturally, it wasn't difficult for the soul-splitting bird monarch to speak the human language. For a powerful creature like the soul-splitting bird monarch, it wasn't difficult at all. Speaking was a very simple matter. What surprised Lin Feng was that the soul-splitting bird monarch's voice was actually female. Clearly, it was a female soul-splitting bird monarch. Lin Feng smiled and said, Don't worry. I can't bear to harm Gu Ya. I can't wait to dote on her. How could I possibly harm her? Who cares about your doting? You're shameless. Gu Ya couldn't help but curse. Lin Feng smiled and said, Look at what you're saying. I don't dote on you. I dote on you. As he spoke, he tightened his arms around Gu Ya's waist. Gu Ya's soft body pressed tightly against Lin Feng's, causing her to gnash her teeth in anger. The soul-splitting bird monarch didn't stay any longer. It led its flock away. Soon, only Lin Feng, Gu Ya, and little Tian Tian were left. What will it take for you to let me go? Gu Ya asked in a low voice. After a brief moment of panic, Gu Ya had become much calmer. Gu Ya knew this very well. There was no point in being anxious. At a time like this, it was even more important to calm down. Gu Ya believed that there was nothing in this world that couldn't be negotiated. My goal is very simple. I want to properly train you and make you my personal maid, Lin Feng said with a smile. I can give you a lot of treasures. I can even tell you the locations of several secret zones and grotto mansions. Those secret zones and grotto mansions might contain boundless wealth. As long as you let me go, I can tell you everything. What do you think of this deal? Lin Feng said calmly. Treasures, wealth, I have plenty of them. Compared to those things, I prefer having a beautiful personal maid by my side. You. Gu Ya started to speak. Gu Ya was speechless. She realized that Lin Feng didn't listen to her at all. Moreover, Lin Feng clearly wanted to take her as his personal maid. Gu Ya didn't even dare to imagine such a thing. Enough with your mumbling. From now on, you are officially my maid for 3 months. During these 3 months, you must serve me well. If you serve me well, you will regain your freedom. Otherwise, I will have no choice but to keep you by my side and train you, Lin Feng said with a smile. You shameless bastard! How can you be considered a hero when you bully a little girl? Gu Ya immediately shouted. Lin Feng pursed his lips and said, If I was a shameless bastard, do you think you can still stand here and talk to me? Gu Ya snorted coldly, but she didn't refute Lin Feng. Lin Feng continued, Now you know you are a little girl? You didn't act like a little woman before, but from now on, you have to serve me honestly. You have no other choice. Gu Ya glared fiercely at Lin Feng. She also knew that she had no other choice. 3 months it is. This princess will endure it. When this princess is free, see how this princess will deal with you. Gu Ya viciously thought to herself. Her idea was quite good. Gu Ya said, All right, I will serve you for 3 months. That's a good girl. Lin Feng smiled. The 9 provinces Immortal Empire was extremely large. The imperial capital of the 9 provinces Immortal Empire was called the 9 provinces Immortal Capital. This was the largest ancient city in the 9 provinces Immortal Territory, and it was also the capital of the 9 provinces Immortal Empire. Thus, this place was extremely lively, and it was practically a sea of people. Lin Feng, Xiao Tiantian, and Gu Ya arrived at the 9 provinces Immortal Capital. Gu Ya's previous outfit was simply too provocative. If she came to the 9 provinces Immortal Capital dressed like that, who knew how many people would come to watch? Thus, Lin Feng had Gu Ya change into a long dress to cover her exposed body. After entering the 9 provinces Immortal Capital, Lin Feng carried Xiao Tiantian and went with Gu Ya to find a place to stay. Chapter 2467. There were many high-class inns in the 9 continents Immortal Capital, and the cultivators here knew how to enjoy themselves. Lin Feng rented a courtyard in the first-grade restaurant, where birds were chirping and flowers were fragrant, and the environment was elegant and pleasant. There were only 9 courtyards in the courtyard, and these courtyards were scattered in picturesque disorder, implying the great Tao of heaven and earth. Moreover, each courtyard was filled with energy, and it was really the best place for cultivation. In the evening, Lin Feng prepared a barbecue party in the courtyard. As a foodie, enjoying delicious food was a must every day. The inn had a takeout service, and Lin Feng also ordered a variety of delicacies. However, Gu Ya was not interested in these delicacies. She was originally a person of the 9 continents Immortal Realm, so she was naturally very familiar with the various delicacies of the 9 continents Immortal Realm. She had a special liking for Lin Feng's barbecue, and she simply devoured Lin Feng's barbecue like a whirlwind sweeping away the clouds. Uncle Lin, these things are not delicious. Little Tiantian likes to eat the delicacies made by Uncle Lin. Little Tiantian commented on the table of delicacies that Lin Feng had ordered. Next time, Uncle will make a lot of delicious food for you. Lin Feng rubbed Little Tiantian's head and said, Okay. Little Tiantian nodded heavily. Gu Ya muttered while eating, I didn't know that you actually knew how to cook, and the barbecue you made was so passable. Lin Feng said, Someone ate 90% of the barbecue alone, and you actually described it as passable. This young master has really broadened my horizons today. Gu Ya's pretty face blushed, and she lightly snorted. After eating and drinking to her heart's content, Little Tiantian quickly fell asleep. Only Gu Ya and Lin Feng were left sitting in the courtyard, drinking tea. Gu Ya had supreme-grade spiritual tea here, and it was really very pleasant to brew a pot of it. Other outsiders, after entering the 9 continents Immortal Realm, are all looking for opportunities everywhere, but you actually came to the 9 continents Immortal Realm to enjoy life. What a freak! Gu Ya couldn't help but mutter. Lin Feng pulled Gu Ya up and embraced her slender waist. Gu Ya sat in Lin Feng's embrace. Lin Feng said, How can you speak to your master like that? Do you want master to punish you? You let me go. Gu Ya's pretty face flushed pink, and she couldn't help but glare fiercely at Lin Feng. She had always kept herself clean. Before she met Lin Feng, she had never had any physical contact with a man. Lin Feng smiled and said, A maidservant should act like a maidservant. As a maidservant, it is natural for her to be close to her master. Gu Ya looked like she wanted nothing more than to stomp Lin Feng to death. Why was it that whenever Lin Feng said something, he could turn black into white? Lin Feng naturally just wanted to tease Gu Ya. Seeing Gu Ya gnashing her teeth, Lin Feng felt that it was very interesting. The next day, Lin Feng went out with Xiao Tiantian and Gu Ya. He planned to go to the auction house to sell his sweet sound flowers. Previously, Lin Feng and Xiao Tiantian had obtained a total of 12 sweet sound flowers. These sweet sound flowers could be refined directly, but it would be a waste to do so. The effects would definitely not be as good as the sweet sound pills. Lin Feng planned to exchange the sweet sound flowers for sweet sound pills. Then, he would use the sweet sound pills to increase his soul power. Gu Ya was quite familiar with the Jiuzhou immortals. She brought Lin Feng to the auction house. The auction house had the backing of the imperial family, and its business was very good. From the outside, the auction house looked like a huge crystal bird's nest. It was magnificent, and the craftsmanship was superb. The interior was divided into 7 levels. The first level was the main hall. There were all kinds of display booths. If one wanted to buy something, they could find it there. In addition to the display booths, there were also counters to buy all kinds of treasures. The auction house was a rather special place. Not only did it sell things, but it also bought all kinds of rare treasures. Some of the top-notch treasures would be put up for auction. Of course, if one didn't want to sell rare treasures to the auction house but wanted to earn a lot of money, they could sell them to the auction house. However, after the auction house would take a 30% commission. Now, the auction house had set up a counter to buy sweet sound flowers. After all, during this period of time, many cultivators had gone to look for the sweet sound flowers. Therefore, the auction house wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to buy the sweet sound flowers. Lin Feng saw a few cultivators talking to an old man behind the counter from afar. They were probably cultivators who wanted to sell the sweet sound flowers. They were now bargaining. How many sweet sound pills can this sweet sound flower be exchanged for? Lin Feng looked at Gu Ya and asked. Gu Ya lived in the Jiuzhou immortal realm, so she was naturally very familiar with the sweet sound pills. Therefore, Lin Feng asked this question. He needed to find out about the market price first, and then have a good talk with the auction house. Usually it's 2 pills, Gu Ya said. How many sweet sound flowers do you need to refine a cauldron of pills? How many sweet sound pills can be refined from a cauldron of pills? Lin Feng asked. A sweet sound flower is the main ingredient, and other supplementary ingredients are needed to refine a cauldron of pills. It can refine around 12 to 15 pills, Gu Ya said. This auction house is really black-hearted, Lin Feng muttered. Gu Ya said. Who asked the imperial family of the Jiuzhou immortal kingdom to have the method to refine the sweet sound pill? If there was a second power that knew how to refine the sweet sound pill, the price wouldn't be so ridiculous. Even if you add in the supplementary ingredients and the cost of labor, it's reasonable that a sweet sound flower can be exchanged for 7 or 8 sweet sound pills. The imperial family of the Jiuzhou immortal kingdom will also make a profit. The sweet sound pill is very precious. It only ripens once every 3,000 years, and there are probably only a few dozen sweet sound flowers each time. Therefore, the sweet sound flower is too rare, so the imperial family of the Jiuzhou immortal kingdom will naturally think of ways to lower the price. There are too many monks and too little gruel, so they must be eyeing the sweet sound pill, Lin Feng said. At this time, a few cultivators seemed to have reached an agreement with the old man. Then, a maid came out and led the cultivators upstairs. Lin Feng carried Xiao Tian and walked over with Gu Ya. Young master, are you selling sweet sound flowers? The old man asked with a smile. Of course, and I'm selling quite a few. Lin Feng smiled. The old man's eyes lit up. It was difficult to purchase sweet sound flowers every time because all the major powers were buying them. Although some of the major powers couldn't refine the sweet sound pill, they could use the sweet sound flower to refine other pills. Therefore, it was already a good harvest for the auction house to be able to purchase 30 or 40 sweet sound flowers. If the cultivators in charge of purchasing sweet sound flowers could exceed the quota, they would be rewarded handsomely. How many sweet sound flowers do you have, young master? The old man asked. 12. Lin Feng smiled. The old man was pleasantly surprised when he heard that Lin Feng had 12 sweet sound flowers. Chapter 2468. It wasn't easy to obtain a sweet sound flower. A single stalk of sweet sound flower was extremely valuable, and Lin Feng actually had 12 stalks of sweet sound flowers. This was a huge business deal. Haha, young master, why don't we talk in the VIP lounge upstairs? The old man was very knowledgeable and reacted quickly. He immediately smiled and invited Lin Feng upstairs for a discussion. All right. Lin Feng nodded. In the VIP lounge on the second floor, a maid served tea as the host, and the guests took their seats. Xiao Tiantian was playing in the lounge. Guya looked at Xiao Tiantian from the side. I am Liang Wandao. How should I address you, young master? The old man asked with a smile. Lin Feng. So it's Lin Gongzi. My apologies for not recognizing you. Liang Wandao cupped his fists with a smile. Lin Feng replied politely. Then, Lin Feng picked up his teacup and sipped the spirit tea without saying anything else. Doing business was a competition of patience. Right now, whoever spoke first would be the weaker party. They would definitely be at a disadvantage in the negotiation later on. With the resources in his hands, Lin Feng didn't need to worry about not being able to sell the sweet sound flowers. The one who was truly worried was Liang Wandao. He definitely wanted to complete this huge deal. Seeing Lin Feng remain silent, Liang Wandao couldn't help but mutter inwardly, what a sly fox. Liang Wandao worked in the auction house all year round and had seen all kinds of people. Therefore, he could guess what Lin Feng was thinking. He also knew what Lin Feng wanted. He wanted to exchange for more sweet sound pills. It wasn't good for both sides to just sit there and do nothing. Liang Wandao said, Lin Gongzi is selling 12 stalks of sweet sound flowers in one go. Our auction house will give Lin Gongzi a satisfactory price. Lin Feng smiled and said, I wonder what kind of price Elder Liang will give me. Liang Wandao said, Other people who come to the auction house to sell sweet sound flowers usually get 2 sweet sound pills per stalk. However, I'm fated with you. How about this, young master's 12 stalks of sweet sound flowers can be sold for a total of 30 sweet sound pills. This price is already very sincere, said Lin Feng while smiling. I've heard that a cauldron can produce 12 to 15 sweet sound pills. 12 sweet sound flowers can produce between 144 sweet sound pills and 180 sweet sound pills. If you can only get 30 sweet sound pills, then it's not a good deal and we don't need to talk about it anymore, said Lin Feng while smiling. Liang Wandao hurriedly said, Lin Gongzi, don't jump to conclusions so quickly. It seems that Lin Gongzi has already done a comprehensive understanding of the sweet sound flower before coming here. Lin Gongzi should also know that refining the sweet sound pill requires a lot of precious auxiliary materials. These are also costs. Guya smiled and said, How precious can some auxiliary materials be? Elder Liang, don't deceive us. Liang Wandao's eyes narrowed slightly. He looked at Guya and said, Miss, why do you say that? What this elder said is the truth. Let's not talk about the value of these auxiliary materials. This pill formula is in the hands of the royal family of the 9 continents. Our auction house is backed by the royal family of the 9 continents. You can't buy sweet sound pills anywhere else except here. If you want sweet sound pills, you can only buy them from us. Just based on this point, this old man's price is already very sincere. Liang Wandao's words were actually very clear. If you want sweet sound pills to increase your cultivation, you can only buy them from us. You can't buy them anywhere else. Therefore, the sweet sound flower can only be sold to us. We have the final say in the price, not the seller. Over the years, many cultivators who sold sweet sound flowers had haggled over the price, but in the end, they still had to accept the price given by the auction house. This was where the confidence of the auction house came from. Lin Feng said indifferently, I don't think I said that I definitely need sweet sound pills. There are many heavenly treasures or pills that can increase one's soul force. I can use other things to replace the sweet sound pill. I heard that several other powers are also buying sweet sound flowers. I can use these sweet sound flowers to directly trade with them. After saying this, Lin Feng stood up and prepared to leave. Liang Wandao was slightly surprised. He didn't think that Lin Feng's attitude would be so resolute. Moreover, looking at Lin Feng's expression, he didn't seem to be lying. Lin Feng really wanted to leave. Now, it was Liang Wandao's turn to be anxious. If he couldn't complete such a huge business deal and the higher-ups found out, he would be punished. Lin Gongzi, please wait. If you're not satisfied with the price, we can continue the discussion, Liang Wanao hurriedly said. Lin Feng sat back down and said, I have many choices, but whether or not this deal can be completed depends on your sincerity. 35 sweet sound pills. That's my limit, Liang Wanao said. Lin Feng smiled and said, That's not enough. It's still a little far from my goal. Lin Gongzi, you're too greedy, Liang Wanao said. Lin Feng said, I have the resources, and you need them. We're both taking what we need. How can I be greedy? Liang Wanao asked. How many sweet sound pills do you want, Lin Gongzi? 60. That's my bottom line, Lin Feng said. That price is absolutely impossible, Liang Wanao said. The auction house has never done such a business before. Lin Feng smiled and said, Elder Liang, you can apply to the higher-ups. Perhaps they'll agree? Liang Wandao's expression changed. He said, All right. Lin Gongzi, wait here for a moment. I'll be right back. Thank you, Elder Liang. Lin Feng nodded. Liang Wandao quickly left. After Liang Wandao left, Guya said unhappily, It's always others who scam the auction house. When it's your turn, it's you who scams the auction house. 60 sweet sound pills? Are you trying to rob us? The imperial family of 9 provinces, as well as some other major powers, are all eyeing the pills covetously. They don't even have enough for themselves. Do you think they'll agree? Lin Feng said. I was just about to ask for 80, but after thinking about it, I don't think they'll agree. I reckon that 60 is their limit. If they don't agree, we'll just leave. At most, we'll just eat these sweet sound flowers to cultivate. Eating them directly is a waste of resources, Guya said speechlessly. Chapter 2469. Lin Gongzi, this is the president of our auction house, Zhao Shuya. Liang Wanao introduced her to Lin Feng. Lin Feng knew that the royal family of the 9 continents' immortal kingdom was surnamed Zhao. Since this woman was called Zhao Shuya, she should be a relative of the royal family of the 9 continents' immortal kingdom. The woman in front of him was truly enchanting. She was a peerless beauty herself. Moreover, she had a charming and mature temperament that made people infatuated with her. This was something that women with little experience couldn't compare to. Lin Gongzi, Shuya greets you here. Zhao Shuya smiled slightly, her charm moving. If it was any other man, they would probably be stunned by her beauty. However, Lin Feng had seen too many peerless beauties before, and his new maidservant, Gu Yao, was one of them. Thus, he acted as if nothing had happened. Fairy is too courteous, Lin Feng smiled. Zhao Shuya giggled and said, Lin Gongzi really knows how to talk. I'm not a fairy. Zhao Shuya then gestured for Lin Feng to sit down. Zhao Shuya said, I've already heard Lin Gongzi's request from Elder Liang. It's not that we can't agree to this request, but we have a condition. What condition? Lin Feng narrowed his eyes and looked at Zhao Shuya. In a few days there will be an auction. Lin Gongzi needs to take out a deathly still fruit, and this deathly still fruit will become one of the promotional items for our auction house, Zhao Shuya said. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. He didn't think that Zhao Shuya would know that he had a deathly still fruit. Zhao Shuya said, Lin Gongzi, please don't misunderstand. Our auction house has no ill intentions towards Lin Gongzi. The reason we know that Lin Gongzi has a deathly still fruit is because a cultivator called Emperor Azure Bull came to our 9 continents immortal capital a while ago and sold this information to the Mercenary Association. Our auction house also received this information, and I'm sure that many people are looking for Lin Gongzi. Some of them might have bad intentions, while some of them might sincerely want to make a deal with Lin Gongzi. Our auction house belongs to the latter group. We want to make a deal with Lin Gongzi. When the time comes, our auction house will help us bid a high price for Lin Gongzi. At the same time, we can also use the deathly still fruit to attract even more people. Our auction house also, we can use the deathly still fruit to sell to the Mercenary Association. Our auction house also received the news auction house. Many people's auction houses. Alright, I can promise you. But where is this Azure Bull Emperor? Do you know where he is? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. He had already guessed who this Emperor Azure Bull was. It was definitely that bastard Big Azure Bull. That guy was full of lies. He said that he would never go to the 9 continents Immortal Kingdom, that he wanted to go to places where cultivators gathered the most, and so on. That bastard sold his information in exchange for a lot of benefits. As for himself, he would encounter a lot of trouble. It wasn't hard to imagine that many people would come looking for him soon. Just as Zhao Shuya said, some people might sincerely want to make a deal with him in exchange for the deathly still fruit, while others wanted to kill him and steal his treasures. He came to the 9 continents Immortal Capital to look for opportunities. How could he have the time to fight with a group of people? This damned Azure Bull, the next time I see it, I'll kill it, skin it, and then stew it into a pot of beef soup. Lin Feng couldn't help but think viciously in his heart. Zhao Shuya said, This Emperor Azure Bull has already left the 9 continents Immortal Capital. As for where he went, we don't know. Lin Feng nodded. It seemed that the idea of killing the Azure Bull to make beef soup would have to be put aside for now. Zhao Shuya took out a porcelain bottle and said, There are 60 Wonder Sound pills in here. Lin Gongzi, take a look. Lin Feng said, There's no need to look. I trust you on this. Lin Feng took out 12 Wonder Sound flowers and a deathly still fruit. Then, he said, This is what you need. Zhao Shuya smiled when she saw Lin Feng take out the Wonder Sound flower and deathly still fruit. After putting them away, she took out an agreement and handed it to Lin Feng. Zhao Shuya said, This is the agreement for the auction of the deathly still fruit. After the auction, according to the rules, the auction house will take 30% of the reward as commission. If there are no problems, we can sign it. Lin Feng looked at it and found that there were no problems, so he signed his name. Zhao Shuya said, The auction will be held in 7 days. If you're interested, you can come and participate. Perhaps you'll find something you need. Lin Feng said, Alright, I'll definitely come. After a slight pause, Lin Feng said, Right, I need a batch of materials. I wonder if the auction house can help me gather them? Lin Feng took out a piece of paper. The materials written on it were the materials needed to refine the white tiger clone. Zhao Shuya glanced at it and said, Most of the materials are easy to gather, but the earth crystal, flame, immortal stone, and immortal spirit wood are extremely rare. I'm afraid they won't be easy to find. Those 3 materials were indeed very rare. Lin Feng said, I'll trouble you to help me look around. If you can find them, I'll buy them no matter the price. Alright, I'll do my best to help you, Zhao Shuya said. After chatting for a while longer, Lin Feng bid farewell and left. After leaving the auction house, Lin Feng didn't stay outside for long. He returned to his residence with Xiao Tiantian and Gu Ya. Lin Feng planned to refine the wonder pill to increase his soul force. Little girl, eat these pills. Lin Feng took out 30 wonder pills and gave them to Xiao Tiantian. Xiao Tiantian ate them as if they were jelly beans, and she quickly finished them all. Uncle Lin, Xiao Tiantian is sleepy. Xiao Tiantian yawned. The little girl would absorb the wonder pill's medicinal energy in her sleep. Lin Feng sent Xiao Tiantian into his mountain river ring. It would be safer that way. After that, Lin Feng told Gu Ya that he was going into seclusion. Gu Ya's magic energy had been sealed by Lin Feng. Thus, Lin Feng wasn't worried that she would escape. Gu Ya couldn't wait for Lin Feng to go into seclusion. It would be best if he went into seclusion for 3 months. When he came out, she would regain her freedom. Lin Feng began his seclusion. He swallowed all 30 Wonder Sound pills. Then, Lin Feng began to circulate the archaic dragonesque elephant art. The medicinal energy of the wonder pills was being refined bit by bit. Lin Feng's soul force was now at first layer quasi-emperor realm. After refining the 30 wonder pills, his soul force reached 3rd layer quasi-emperor realm. Lin Feng was very happy that his soul force increased by 2 layers. Unfortunately, there was a limit to the number of wonder pills. If he had enough, his soul force could reach 99-layer quasi-emperor realm. However, Lin Feng was very satisfied that he could increase his soul force by 2 layers at once. On the second day after he came out of seclusion, someone came to deliver a letter to Lin Feng. This letter was actually sent by Zhao Liner. In the letter, Zhao Liner said that she wanted to meet Lin Feng. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. He didn't know why Zhao Liner wanted to meet him. Lin Feng had met Zhao Lin once before. Chapter 2470. Zhao Lin invited Lin Feng to meet her at the palace. The palaces of the cultivation world did not have as many rules as the palaces of the mortal world. Therefore, Lin Feng could enter the palace. In the palaces of the mortal world, other than the emperor, those who could enter the palace were eunuchs. The palace of the 9 continents immortal country was magnificent and majestic. Lin Feng came to the palace alone. As for Xiao Tian, Bibi, and the dragon rabbit stayed in the residence to play. Gu Yao was in charge of looking after them. Outside the palace, there was already a palace maid waiting for Lin Feng. Lin Gongzi, please follow me. The palace maid who was waiting for Lin Feng bowed slightly to Lin Feng and then said aloud. This palace maid's figure and face were both extremely beautiful. Please lead the way, Lin Feng said. Young master, you're too kind, the palace maid said and then led the way to the palace. When they arrived at the entrance of the palace, she took out a token and handed it to the guard. Then, the guard let them go. Lin Feng followed the palace maid into the palace. The palace was extremely large. Therefore, after entering the palace, Lin Feng boarded the beast carriage that was already prepared. Where did Princess Zhao Lin want to meet me? Lin Feng asked. The palace maid said. In the princess's own palace, the Jade Immortal Palace. Lin Feng was shocked. He did not expect Zhao Lin to have her own palace. It seemed that Zhao Lin was an extremely valued junior. Otherwise, how could she have her own palace? Go, go, go! The carriage driver drove the beast carriage forward. About an hour later, they arrived at Zhao Lin's residence. It was a huge courtyard. There were rockery, strange stones, small bridges, flowing water, and pavilions. The environment was really oppressive. In the depths of the courtyard was a huge palace. That palace should be Zhao Lin's Jade Immortal Palace. Before entering the Jade Immortal Palace, Lin Feng heard the pleasant sound of a pipa. Many women liked to play the pipa. However, Zhao Lin was very interested in musical instruments like the pipa. The song she played was called Moonlit Night on the Spring River. The melody was beautiful and pleasant to the ears. It was as if it wanted to bring people into the world of the song. Lin Feng entered the Jade Fairy Palace under the guidance of a palace maid. Seeing Lin Feng enter, Zhao Lin revealed a charming smile to Lin Feng, but she didn't stop playing. Lin Feng, on the other hand, found a place to sit down and quietly enjoy the view. The palace maid did not disturb the two of them and retreated, leaving Lin Feng and Zhao Lin alone. Zhao Lin wore a veil even in the palace. Now that he was playing the pipa, Lin Feng felt as if he was hugging the pipa and covering half of his face. When the song, Spring River Moonlight Night, ended, Lin Feng seemed to still be immersed in that kind of beauty, unable to extricate himself for a long time, making people forget to return. What do you think of my song, young master? Zhao Lin asked. Her voice was very gentle and beautiful. Now, she had changed the way she addressed herself. She actually called herself, young master, in front of Lin Feng. This made Lin Feng very puzzled. Normally, women would only use such terms in front of extremely close male friends. Obviously, Lin Feng and Zhao Lin's relationship was not close. In fact, it was only the second time they had met. Although he was puzzled, Lin Feng's expression did not change. He said, The song played by the princess is really amazing. He. Young master is too kind, Zhao Lin said with a smile. Lin Feng said, I wonder why Fairy has called me here today. Zhao Liner said. I heard that young master has the deathly still fruit. I wonder if I can exchange it with young master. Lin Feng finally understood why Zhao Liner had called him servant in front of him in such an intimate way. It seemed that Zhao Liner wanted to exchange for the deathly still fruit from him. That was why she wanted to get close to him first. Lin Feng did not really want to exchange the deathly still fruits because Lin Feng planned to leave them for his women. Lin Feng had many women now. If he had something good, he would naturally think of them. I have one more, but it has just been sent to the auction house and is about to be auctioned. My apologies, but it seems that I will have to disappoint Princess this time, Lin Feng said. Zhao Liner said. That Azure Ox Emperor said that young master has more than 10 deathly still fruits, and that each person can only consume 1 deathly still fruit at most. Young master should have many more. A Cyan Ox is talking nonsense, don't take it seriously, said Lin Feng. Zhao Liner said. As long as young master is willing to exchange the deathly still fruit with me, I can satisfy any price. I want you to accompany me for a night. Lin Feng couldn't help but think wickedly. Zhao Liner was the #1 beauty in the 9 provinces paradise. She was even prettier than the fairy of the 9 heavens. Lin Feng was naturally interested in her. Of course, Lin Feng could only think about having Zhao Liner accompany him for a night. He did not dare to say it out loud. If he said it out loud, Zhao Liner would probably slash him with her sword. Lin Feng thought about it. He didn't lack any cultivation resources. Currently, what he needed the most were the 3 rare materials to refine the white tiger clone. Of course, he also needed the tyrant bone to raise the level of epic aura. Lin Feng asked. Do you have the tyrant bone? What's that? Zhao Liner asked curiously. It's a very special bone. From the looks of it, you don't have it. Then, do you have the earth crystal, flame immortal rock, and spirit immortal ancient wood? Lin Feng continued. Zhao Liner shook her head. You should have the 3,000 great Das, right? Lin Feng said. Zhao Liner frowned slightly. Lin Feng mentioned the 3,000 great Das because he wanted her to exchange them for the deathly still fruit. The 3,000 great Das were extremely precious. They were the foundation of the Tao. The deathly still fruit was only a natural treasure. No matter how precious it was, it couldn't be compared to the 3,000 great Das. It seems like the princess doesn't intend to exchange them, Lin Feng said. If that's the case, then I'll take my leave. Wait, Zhao Liner said. Princess, have you changed your mind? Lin Feng looked at Zhao Liner and asked. Zhao Liner looked at Lin Feng in annoyance and said, If I didn't need the deathly still fruit urgently, I wouldn't have used the 3,000 great Das to exchange with you. I can use one of the 3,000 great Das to exchange for the deathly still fruit, but you can't teach it to anyone else. There was an unwritten rule in the world of cultivators. Divine abilities obtained through exchanges were not allowed to be taught to others. Every world had its own rules, and cultivators had to abide by these rules. Lin Feng said. Don't worry, I know the rules. Swoosh! With a flash of light, a jade tube appeared in Zhao Liner's hand. She handed the jade tube to Lin Feng. Lin Feng used his divine sense to check it, and a look of disbelief appeared on his face. Chapter 2471. Zhao Liner didn't want to exchange the death silence fruit with Lin Feng. She had already said it, and Lin Feng could sense her inner thoughts. However, Zhao Liner needed the death silence fruit, so she had no choice but to trade with Lin Feng. With Zhao Liner's identity and status, she should have mastered many of the 3,000 great Das. Naturally, he could choose some unpopular great Tao or the 3,000 great Tao that he could not use normally to impart to him. However, what Zhao Liner imparted to him was the great immunity art. Lin Feng was extremely shocked, and he couldn't believe it. The great immunity art was an extremely heaven-defying divine ability. It was ranked 53rd among the 3,000 great Das. Back then, Lin Feng's greatest enemy in the Tianwu continent, the successor of the heavenly god palace, Di Xingtian, had cultivated the Great Immunity Art. It was one of the top divine arts recorded in the Great Immunity Art. However, Lin Feng hadn't been able to fight Di Xingtian in the final battle. Ever since the sea route to the 9 prefectures' great world was opened, the Heavenly God Palace had disappeared. It was unknown if they had come to the 9 prefectures. Apart from Di Xingtian, the first foreign god he had met in the ancient city also knew about the Great Immunity Art. Perhaps they had all cultivated the Great Immunity Art before. The Great Immunity Art was a divine ability that could make anyone go crazy. The Great Immunity Art recorded in the Great Immunity Art was extremely useful to cultivators. Once the Great Immunity Art was activated, it could nullify all attacks condensed from the opponent's magic power. For example, it could nullify all kinds of divine abilities, bloodline abilities, and even auras. This was because the activation of these attacks required the use of magic power in order to release their power. Therefore, one could imagine how precious this divine ability was. Zhao Liner asked, "Do you like this divine ability?" "Of course I like it." Lin Feng suppressed the excitement in his heart. He looked at Zhao Liner in confusion and asked, "Why are you imparting this divine ability to me? If I said that it's because I admire you, would you believe me?" Zhao Liner said. "Admire me?" Lin Feng looked at Zhao Liner in astonishment. He wouldn't believe this reason even if he was beaten to death. Although Lin Feng thought that he was handsome and dashing, he was still a man of his word. However, he had only met Zhao Liner twice. For a woman like Zhao Liner to have feelings of admiration for a man she had only met twice? Wasn't this a joke? In any case, Lin Feng wouldn't believe such a thing. "What? You don't believe me?" Zhao Liner asked. Lin Feng looked at Zhao Liner. Zhao Liner also looked at Lin Feng. Zhao Liner's eyes were very beautiful. Her skin was fair, her figure was graceful, and her temperament was outstanding. However, her face was covered by a veil, so no one could see her true appearance. Lin Feng said with a smile, "Sometimes, being too charming is a mistake. I'm really too outstanding. Everyone loves me and flowers bloom when they see me. Therefore, I don't doubt the princess's words at all. My charm has always been this great," Zhao Liner said. "Young master is really humorous. If you don't mind, I'm willing to become your confidant." Zhao Liner's actions shocked Lin Feng more and more. She was actually willing to directly say that she wanted to become his confidant. This was equivalent to a goddess-like woman taking the initiative to tell a man she had only met twice that she had already fallen in love with him. She wanted to be good to him, so he should accept her love. Anyone who saw this would find it inconceivable and unbelievable. Lin Feng couldn't help but slander her in his heart. He had no idea what Zhao Liner was up to. However, regardless of whether Zhao Liner was sincere or had other motives, Lin Feng was skilled and daring. He wasn't worried that Zhao Liner would scheme against him. Being able to have a confidant like the princess is really a happy thing. Lin Feng's mouth revealed a smile. He reached out to hug Zhao Liner's small waist. He wanted to see what kind of reaction this goddess in the eyes of countless people would have. He, now is not the time," Zhao Liner said with a smile. Then, she nimbly dodged and avoided Lin Feng's embrace. She then laughed. Lin Feng said, "This one was rude. I hope the princess doesn't blame me." Zhao Liner smiled and said, "How would I dare to blame the prince? In the future, when we are more familiar with each other and our relationship is deeper, Liner will not object to the prince's actions. I will definitely be obedient to the prince." Zhao Liner's words were too straightforward. If it was another man, he would probably be so excited that he didn't know his surname. Lin Feng only smiled indifferently. He said, "To be able to receive the princess's admiration is really an honor. I see that it's already late, and I don't want to disturb you anymore. I'll take my leave for now. I'll send the prince off," Zhao Liner said. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Thank you for your trouble, princess." After leaving the palace, Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. Zhao Liner's change in attitude was extremely strange. Lin Feng had already felt that Zhao Liner was not a simple woman. Now, Her series of inconceivable actions caused Lin Feng to feel even more puzzled. Has she really taken a liking to me? Lin Feng couldn't help but touch his face. His face was indeed handsome. Of course, the most important thing was that he was young and promising. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel proud of himself. Of course, this was also a bit of self-praise. After returning to their residence, Guya looked at Lin Feng with a faint smile and said, "Look at how happy you are. Did something happen between you and Zhao Liner?" Lin Feng smiled and said, "What? Are you jealous?" "Tui. Why would I be jealous of you?" Guya spat at Lin Feng. "Don't explain. Explaining is just trying to cover it up." Lin Feng grinned and reached out to hug Guya's waist. Guya's magic power was sealed, so she couldn't escape from Lin Feng's embrace. "Don't go too far." Guya gnashed her teeth and looked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and said, "It's already late autumn, and I saw that you were wearing thin clothes. I was worried that you would catch a cold, so I used my embrace to warm you up. Don't misunderstand me." When she heard Lin Feng's words, Guya immediately felt the urge to smash Lin Feng into a pulp with a punch. This guy was taking advantage of her, yet he could still speak so confidently. How could he be so shameless? Lin Feng said, "You seem to have a grudge with Zhao Liner? What do you think of Zhao Liner?" Guya said, "She's a very scheming woman." Chapter 2472. Back then, I went on a mission with Zhao Liner. At that time, we were still quite young. When we went out to train, there were more than 20 people in our group, but all of them fell into Zhao Liner's trap. Other than me, everyone died tragically. Zhao Liner, on the other hand, obtained a fortuitous encounter. From then on, she soared to the heavens. Lin Feng frowned slightly. He did not think that Guya was lying. However, Guya didn't explain in detail what had happened back then. Lin Feng didn't know if there was a secret behind it or not. However, there was one thing that Lin Feng was certain of. He had to be on guard against Zhao Liner. This woman was not a simple character. If he did not take precautions, he might really fall into her trap. Of course, Lin Feng hoped that he was overthinking things. "Let's not talk about Zhao Liner anymore. Let's talk about the two of us," said Lin Feng. "What do you mean?" Guya looked at Lin Feng warily. "As a servant, I have to serve my master well. This is my duty." "When do you plan on serving him?" Lin Feng asked with a faint smile. Guya's face turned pale when she heard Lin Feng mention serving him. However, when she saw the mischievous expression on Lin Feng's face, she immediately realized that she had been played by Lin Feng. Guya took advantage of Lin Feng's unpreparedness to get up and stomped on Lin Feng's foot. Lin Feng immediately grimaced in pain. "Insolent! Watch how I teach you a lesson!" Lin Feng made a move to pounce on Guya. Guya shrieked in fright and quickly ran back to her room. Guya had a fiery and unrestrained personality. Sometimes, it was quite interesting to tease this woman. It was already late at night. Xiao Tiantian, Bibi, and the dragon rabbit were already asleep. Lin Feng was not sleepy at all. After returning to his room, he began to comprehend the great immunity technique. This divine ability was extremely important to Lin Feng. Lin Feng himself also had great expectations for this ability. For the next few days, Lin Feng was comprehending the great immunity technique. On the other hand, the auction house spared no effort in promoting this auction. Many good things had appeared in the auction this time. As for the death silence fruit, it also aroused the interest of many people. The deathly still fruit only matured once every 1,000,000 years. Such a heavenly treasure was unimaginably beneficial to one's cultivation. Therefore, when the news of the death silence fruit spread out, many people rushed to the 9 regions' immortal capital to participate in the auction. On the day of the auction, Lin Feng, Guya, Xiao Tiantian, Bibi, and Dragon Rabbit rode a beast carriage to the auction house. Guya also covered her beautiful face with a veil. However, there was no need to look at his face. One only needed to look at her graceful figure to know that this woman was definitely a peerless beauty. The auction was very lively. After Lin Feng arrived, Zhao Xia personally arranged a VIP box for Lin Feng. Then, Lin Feng and the others entered the VIP box. Zhao Xia handed a storage ring to Lin Feng and said, "Inside is the materials that Lin Gongzi needs. However, the Earth Crystal, Flame Immortal Stone, and Spirit Immortal Ancient Wood are still not able to be collected. However, the auction house is currently investigating the whereabouts of these 3 items for young master. I believe that we will have news soon." Lin Feng nodded and said, "Thank you, Fairy. The money for these materials can be deducted from the money obtained from the auction of the Death Silence fruit." "No problem," Zhao Xia said with a smile. Then, she continued, "Today's auction will begin. There are still many things to deal with, so I won't stay here with Lin Gongzi for long. Young master, please do as you wish. If you have any orders, there are servants waiting outside. Young master, you only need to shout." "All right. Thank you for your concern." Lin Feng cupped his fists. Zhao Xia then left. Lin Feng sat on the sofa to rest, waiting for the auction to begin. The cultivators participating in the auction were entering the venue one after another. Thus, there was still some time before the auction officially began. There were some spirit fruits on the table in front of the sofa. Gu Ya picked up a spirit fruit and elegantly ate it. Xiao Tiantian, on the other hand, was happily playing with Bibi and Dragon Rabbit. 2 hours later. Dong dong dong, 3 bells rang in the auction hall. The auction officially began. 2 cultivators walked up the stage. One was a man and the other was a woman. The man was a cultivator in his 30s. His name was Zhao Qianyu, and he was a relative of the 9 States Immortal Kingdom's imperial family. He was also one of the vice presidents of the auction house. This time, he was the one hosting the auction. His partner was a beautiful woman who looked to be in her 30s. Her name was Sitijing. She was an experienced auctioneer of the auction house, and she was very good at livening up the atmosphere of an auction. Zhao Qianyu said with a smile, "Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to attend this auction held by our auction house. There will be many unexpected treasures in this auction. Now, let's take out the first item." As soon as Zhao Qianyu finished speaking, a servant girl walked out. She held a tray in her hands, and on the tray was a porcelain bottle. It was unknown what was inside the bottle for now. This was the first item to be auctioned. The first item to be auctioned was usually a top-quality item. Among all the items to be auctioned, it was very likely to be one of the top 10 items. Thus, this item was definitely not to be underestimated. It can't be an immortal pill, right? Or perhaps it's a powerful magical treasure? A treasure like the pristine jade bottle? It could also contain something precious, such as some bejeweled nectar. The cultivators in the auction house whispered to each other. Sitijing smiled and said, "Everyone, the first item has a very nice name. It's called the 9 Heavens Immortal Universe Liquid. It's said to be an immortal liquid passed down from the celestial world." Passed down from the celestial world? It can't be true, right? Something passed down from the supreme celestial world? Heavens, isn't its origin too shocking? The cultivators below burst into an uproar. Any item passed down from the celestial world could be described as heaven-defying. Its value was unimaginable. What's the use of this thing? Many cultivators couldn't wait to ask. It's used by the celestial world's cultivators to raise spirit insects. Any kind of insect can be quickly hatched using the 9 Heavens Immortal Universe Liquid. Of course, the 9 Heavens Immortal Universe Liquid's effect is not only to hatch spirit insects. If those hatched larvae consume the 9 Heavens Immortal Universe Liquid, they will grow rapidly in an extremely short period of time. Sitijing said. Chapter 2473. Right now, Lin Feng was in urgent need of supreme treasures to cultivate insects. Not only did Lin Feng have an archaic ancestor insect egg, but he also had a new emperor archaic egg. In addition, Lin Feng also had a prehistoric demon refining insect queen. Each of these insects was more terrifying than the last, and each was more extraordinary than the last. The archaic ancestor insect egg was about to hatch, but it still hadn't hatched. The Emperor Archaic egg still showed no signs of hatching. If he wanted to hatch an Emperor Archaic, he would need a huge amount of precious resources to cultivate the Emperor Archaic egg. As for the prehistoric demon refining insect queen, it was currently facing the problem of laying eggs. The prehistoric demon refining insects were poisonous insects that lived in groups. The archaic ancestor insect queen and the emperor archaic insect queen were both solitary insects. These were two completely different types of insects, but they were both terrifying. Thus, the Nine Heavens Immortal Universe liquid was extremely important to Lin Feng. Good stuff. This is really good stuff. My family has a dark-held demonic insect egg, but it hasn't been able to hatch. If we can get the Nine Heavens Immortal Universe liquid, we'll definitely be able to hatch it. I remember that our sect has an 8-armed golden-eyed demonic scorpion egg. That's a terrifying insect from the prehistoric era. If it hatches, it'll be terrifying. We definitely have to get the Nine Heavens Immortal Universe liquid. In the auction house, divine wills were intertwined. Many people were conversing with their companions. The auction for the Nine Heavens Immortal Universe liquid had caused a huge commotion. In a private room, Guya looked at Lin Feng in surprise. In her impression, Lin Feng had always been a calm person. She rarely saw Lin Feng lose his composure like this. You're also cultivating insects? Asked Guya. Guya was also cultivating insects. She had many tricks up her sleeves. Not only could she control the Godsplitter birds, but she could also control some powerful insects. However, her magic power was sealed, so she couldn't open her beast's pouch and release the insects inside. Lin Feng nodded. That's right. I'm cultivating several powerful insects, so the Nine Heavens Immortal Universe liquid is very important to me. I'm sure many people are interested in such a precious treasure. How about we make a deal? Guya smiled. What kind of deal? Lin Feng looked at Guya. If you want to bid for the Nine Heavens Immortal Universe liquid, you'll probably have to pay a sky-high price. No matter how much it costs, I'll pay for it on your behalf, Guya said. Lin Feng sat down and hugged Guya. He smiled and said, You have so little money, you should keep it for yourself. This bottle of Nine Heavens Immortal Universe liquid would definitely fetch a heaven-defying price. Guya struggled a few times, trying to break free from Lin Feng's embrace, but she failed several times. She could only let Lin Feng hug her. She couldn't help but think viciously, Bastard, I'll let you take advantage of me now. Once this princess is free, I'll lead the soul-rending birds to teach you a lesson. Then I'll capture you. See how I'll deal with you then. Guya's mood improved a lot when she thought of this. Ladies and gentlemen, the starting bid for the Nine Heavens Immortal Universe liquid is 50 million origin crystals. Each bid must be no less than 5 million. Let the bidding begin, Zhao Qianyu said loudly. As soon as the starting price was announced, the auction house immediately fell silent. The starting price was simply too high. But soon someone began to bid. 60 million. The cultivator who bid was dressed in black and wore a bamboo hat. His voice was hoarse, and his origins were mysterious. No one knew who he was. 70 million. 80 million. 90 million. 100 million. After the black-clothed cultivator broke the silence, many people began to participate in the bidding. The price kept rising and soon broke through 100 million. But obviously, even 100 million was far from the limit of the Nine Heavens Immortal Universe liquid. This was just the beginning. A treasure like the Nine Heavens Immortal Universe liquid was something that could only be found by chance. If they missed it this time, they might never see a second bottle of Nine Heavens Immortal Universe liquid in their lifetime. Therefore, many people didn't hesitate to spend a lot of money to bid for the Nine Heavens Immortal Universe liquid. 150 million. 180 million. 230 million. 300 million. 350 million. 390 million. 440 million. 600 million. 800 million. 1 billion. Many cultivators participated in the bidding, and the price continued to rise. However, there were very few cultivators who withdrew from the bidding. There were still many cultivators who continued to join in the bidding for the 9 Heavens Immortal Universe Liquid. I think it's impossible to bid for the 9 Heavens Immortal Universe Liquid without 20 to 30 billion. Although your dead silence fruit is precious, I estimate that the transaction price is only about 10 billion. It's far from enough to raise the funds to bid for the 9 Heavens Immortal Universe Liquid. If you agree to my proposal now, it's not too late, Guya said. She felt that this was an opportunity to escape in advance. Therefore, she didn't want to give up this opportunity so easily. Lin Feng pinched Guya's face and said, "Woman, don't be self-righteous. You don't know how much wealth I have. If I tell you, you'll be shocked." Guya had already taken off her veil in the private room. Looking at Guya's delicate face at a close distance, Lin Feng couldn't help but feel amazed. Especially now that Guya's face was being pinched by Lin Feng, her red lips were slightly pouted, looking very cute. "Humph, I want to see if you really have that much money." Guya struggled free from Lin Feng's hand that was pinching her face and snorted coldly. The bidding outside was getting more and more intense. After the price broke through 1 billion, there was no sign of it slowing down. It continued to rise, and not long after, the price broke through 10 billion. When the price reached the sky-high price of 10 billion, many people began to withdraw from the competition one after another. Unless it was some big tycoons, ordinary forces were no longer able to compete. In the end, there were still more than 10 forces continuing to bid. Soon, the price of the 9 Heavens Immortal Universe Liquid reached 15 billion. After reaching this price, these forces also began to withdraw one after another. In the end, there was only one force left. This force was from the 9 continents' immortal realm. It was called the Ancient Insect Sect. This Ancient Insect Sect was extremely good at cultivating all kinds of insects. Just as Lin Feng was about to bid, someone suddenly bid in advance. 20 billion. Chapter 2474. TSK, you're really rich. You actually raised the price to 20 billion. Looks like you're not fated with this treasure. Guya looked at Lin Feng gloatingly. She still felt that it was impossible for Lin Feng to take out so much money. Therefore, Guya wanted to provoke Lin Feng, hoping that Lin Feng would beg her when the time came. At that time, the two sides would be able to negotiate. However, Guya noticed that Lin Feng still had a calm expression, as if he wasn't worried at all. This made Guya very confused. Why was Lin Feng so calm? Did he really have the financial resources to defeat the other party? The latest price caused the emotions of the entire auction to reach an extreme. The cultivators below began whispering to each other. Everyone was discussing who this person was to be so rich and overbearing. However, the other party was sitting in a private room, so they couldn't see who it was. The Ancient Insect Sect's expression suddenly darkened. They were originally determined to get the 9 Heavens Immortal Universe Liquid, but now that someone had suddenly appeared, and the other party was so rich, they felt that it was very troublesome. 22 billion! The Ancient Insect Sect continued to bid, not wanting to back out. The 9 Heavens Immortal Universe Liquid was very important to their sect. This was because the Ancient Insect Sect had a few very ancient insect eggs, but it was too difficult to hatch them. If they could get the 9 Heavens Immortal Universe Liquid, they could hatch them. At that time, the Ancient Insect Sect's strength would also increase greatly. 25 billion! The other party continued to bid. Who is this? He's really rich. Looks like he wants to suppress the Ancient Insect Sect and fight for this bottle of 9 Heavens Immortal Universe Liquid. The Ancient Insect Sect raises a large number of poisonous insects every year, and there are so many people cultivating in the sect. The resources they need are extremely huge. Because of the poisonous insects, the Ancient Insect Sect consumes 5 times more resources every year compared to other forces of the same size. Therefore, the Ancient Insect Sect definitely has a bottom line. When that bottom line is exceeded, the Ancient Insect Sect will back out. Because if they continue to compete, It will affect the entire sex operations. That's not worth it. That's right. I estimate that the ancient insect sex bottom line should be 30 billion. Some cultivators who had some understanding of the ancient insect sect discussed and roughly estimated how much money the ancient insect sect could use to compete for the 9 heavens immortal universe liquid. 30 billion was an astronomical figure. Originally, it was more than enough to bid for the 9 heavens immortal universe liquid. But now, something new had happened. There were mysterious people or forces participating in the competition, adding more variables to the competition this time. 28 billion! The ancient insect sect quoted another price. The voice of the bidder was extremely gloomy and cold. This should be the ancient insect sect's bottom line. 30 billion! The other party continued to quote a price. When the ancient insect sect cultivators heard this price, their eyes turned gloomy and murderous. No matter how unwilling they were, they had to withdraw from this auction. The price of the 9 heavens immortal universe liquid has reached 30 billion. Are there any higher bids? Situjing smiled as she looked around the auction house. He realized that no one was bidding anymore. Situjing said slowly, "Everyone, this is something that came out of the heaven realm. In the mortal world, we might not be able to see it once in hundreds of millions of years. If we miss this opportunity, we might not have a second chance like this. 32 billion. At this time, someone else made a new bid. Someone else is bidding? Many people were shocked. Originally, they thought that 30 billion was the limit. They didn't expect someone else to participate. It seemed that the price of the 9 heavens immortal universe liquid would reach an extremely shocking level. The heavenly demon emperor's son? Lin Feng was astonished. He was all too familiar with this voice. It was his old enemy, the heavenly demon emperor's son. This guy had actually come to the immortal capital of 9 states. 35 billion! The mysterious cultivator continued to bid. He had no intention of giving up. 38 billion! The heavenly demon emperor's son also raised the price. Lin Feng frowned. Did the heavenly demon emperor's son have some powerful insect egg on him? He didn't know if it was left behind by his father. Or did he have some other fortune? Lin Feng felt that it was a pity that he hadn't been able to kill the heavenly demon emperor's son back then. The heavenly demon emperor's son was very terrifying. He had the 8th heavenly fire, and his bloodline could continue to awaken. As his bloodline continued to awaken, his cultivation would rapidly increase. Now that the heavenly demon emperor's son had already undergone his 2nd awakening, his strength would definitely increase explosively when the 3rd awakening happened. At that time, he would become a great enemy. I should think of a way to get rid of him, and not give him a chance to awaken his bloodline a 3rd time. Moreover, I must get the 8th heavenly fire. Lin Feng couldn't help but whisper. The celestial beast emperor's son's 8th celestial fire was extremely important to him. Lin Feng wanted to kill the celestial beast emperor's son, and steal his 8th celestial fire. In the outside world, the heavenly demon emperor's son had extremely terrifying Tao protectors protecting him. It would be very difficult to kill him, but now that they were in the immortal capital of 9 states, the heavenly demon emperor's son had no Tao protectors. On the other hand, Lin Feng's cultivation had increased greatly. Lin Feng was now absolutely confident that he could kill the heavenly demon emperor's son. As long as he could kill the heavenly demon emperor's son and refine the 8th heavenly fire, he would be able to obtain it. At that time, Lin Feng's cultivation would increase by leaps and bounds. At the thought of this, Lin Feng felt extremely excited. 40 billion! The mysterious person bid again. 43 billion! The heavenly demon emperor's son bid again. 45 billion! The mysterious person bid again. The two sides competed, and soon, the price reached 50 billion. It was then that Lin Feng said, "The two of you are really stingy. Raising the price bit by bit like this, when will the victor be decided?" The corners of many people's mouths twitched. Who was this guy? Did he not know how to brag properly? Raising the price by a few billion in one go was called raising the price bit by bit? They had seen people who were good at bragging, but they had never seen anyone as good as this guy. 100 billion! I bid 100 billion for the 9 heavens celestial liquid! Lin Feng bid. Everyone was dumbfounded. They had thought that Lin Feng was just bragging. Only now did they realize that they had misunderstood Lin Feng. This guy was truly rich and overbearing. He had raised the price by 50 billion in one go. How much wealth did he have to be so willful? You! Du Ya, who was standing beside Lin Feng, was also dumbfounded. She looked at Lin Feng incoherently. Du Ya had about 50 billion origin crystals on her. She had thought that with so much wealth, she could be considered as someone who could rival an entire nation. Only now did she realize that her wealth was nothing compared to Lin Feng. No wonder this guy was so fearless. Chapter 2475. Lin Feng, it's you! When the Sky Demon Emperor's son heard Lin Feng's voice, he stood up abruptly. His eyes were filled with boundless killing intent. Lin Feng had turned into ashes. He knew Lin Feng. Lin Feng wanted to kill him. He also wanted to kill Lin Feng. Long time no see. You're not dead yet? Lin Feng said indifferently. The corner of the Sky Demon Emperor's son's mouth twitched violently. Then, he said with a sinister smile, Lin Feng, you're unlucky to have met me. Do you know that I obtained a great opportunity in the 9 provinces paradise? My cultivation has advanced by leaps and bounds. Now, killing you is as easy as killing a dog for me. The Sky Demon Emperor's son was extremely arrogant. Before he lost to Lin Feng, he had never been defeated. At that time, the Sky Demon Emperor's son was overbearing and looked down on everyone. Losing to Lin Feng was considered a heavy blow to the Sky Demon Emperor's son. After all, he had never thought that he would lose to Lin Feng. In his eyes, Lin Feng was nothing. He wasn't even qualified to be his opponent. Therefore, that defeat almost caused the Sky Demon Emperor's son to collapse. But now, everything was in the past. Now that the Sky Demon Emperor's son had obtained a great opportunity in the 9 provinces paradise, his confidence had returned. The Sky Demon Emperor's son believed that he could definitely kill Lin Feng. Lin Feng said indifferently. I wonder who was the one who fled in a sorry state back then. Thinking back to that scene, it's still fresh in my memory. You! The Sky Demon Emperor's son was mad with hatred. He didn't want to recall the scene of him fleeing for his life after being defeated. To him, it was a humiliation. He couldn't bear to look back on the past. Now that Lin Feng had exposed the scar, the Sky Demon Emperor's son's face twisted. Your Highness, there's no need to argue with this person. The demoness beside the Sky Demon Emperor's son said. This woman was as beautiful and enchanting as ever. Her words seemed to have some sort of magical power, causing the Sky Demon Emperor's son to gradually regain his composure. The people at the auction could tell that the two of them had a deep grudge against each other. Many people couldn't wait for Lin Feng and the Sky Demon Emperor's son to start fighting right now. They could also watch the show. The Sky Demon Emperor's son did not continue to participate in the contest. First, Lin Feng's price was too high. In terms of wealth, the son of the Sky Demon Emperor was completely unable to be mentioned in the same breath as Lin Feng. Secondly, the son of the Sky Demon Emperor wanted to kill Lin Feng. In his opinion, Lin Feng was doomed. In that case, why should he continue to compete with Lin Feng? In any case, even if Lin Feng obtained the 9 heavens immortal universe liquid, it would still fall into his hands in the end. The other mysterious man did not continue to raise his bid. A price of 100 billion was simply too high. It was enough to scare off anyone. The price of the 9 heavens immortal universe liquid has already reached 100 billion. Everyone, is there anyone else who wants to raise the price? If you miss this opportunity, you won't have a second chance. Situ Jing continued to encourage the crowd to bid. Bid my ass! You're still not satisfied with this price? Many people couldn't help but curse in their hearts. 100 billion going once, 100 billion going twice. 100 billion going thrice. Sold! As the hammer in Zhao Qianyu's hand fell, the 9 Heavens Immortal Universe liquid was won by Lin Feng. Following that, one item after another was taken out for auction. The atmosphere at the auction was very lively. Your enemy has obtained a great opportunity. I'm afraid it won't be easy to kill him. Such a person can't be left alive. Otherwise, who knows what kind of trouble he will cause in the future. You may not be afraid, but what about your family and friends? If this person is crazy enough to deal with your family and friends, you can't always stay by their side, right? You have to be careful, Guya said. The Heavenly Demon Emperor's son was indeed a crazy person. His personality was like that of a child. What are you trying to say? Lin Feng asked. Let's join hands and kill this person. I think he has a lot of good things on him. When the time comes, we'll each take what we need, Guya said. At that time, you'll be able to escape in advance? Lin Feng pinched Guya's snow-white chin, the corners of his mouth rising into a faint smile. This is something that will benefit both of us, Guya said. Sold! Lin Feng nodded. He had wanted to kill the Heavenly Demon Emperor's son, so Guya's help would be a great help. The chances of killing the Heavenly Demon Emperor's son would also be greatly increased. Lin Feng wasn't interested in most of the auction items. After about 100 items were auctioned, Lin Feng's deathly still fruit was also taken out for auction. Perhaps it was because the auction price of the 9 Heavens Immortal Universe liquid had reached a new peak, which was why this auction was held. Almost all of the auction items were sold at prices that far exceeded previous estimates. This included Lin Feng's deathly still fruit. Lin Feng had originally estimated the deathly still fruit's price to be between 10 billion and 15 billion. However, the actual price had reached 28 billion. This price greatly exceeded Lin Feng's expectations. Halfway through the auction, Lin Feng left with Guya, Lil Tiantian, Bibi, and the Dragon Rabbit. Zhao Xia met with Lin Feng in the VIP lounge. She brought the 9 Heavens Immortal Universe liquid that Lin Feng had won, and Lin Feng paid the required origin crystals. Then he left. After Lin Feng left, a woman walked out from the back hall. This woman was none other than Zhao Liner. This person is not simple. Not to mention anything else, he's already so rich at such a young age. This is the first time I've seen someone like him, Zhao Xia said. Zhao Liner said, This guy gives me the feeling that he can produce an endless supply of origin crystals. Zhao Xia said, Who knows how he got so much wealth? I think it's too risky for you to get close to him. Auntie, he's a very suitable candidate, Zhao Liner said. I'm afraid you'll fall in the end, Zhao Xia said. Why would I? I know what I'm doing. If I really find that things are developing in a direction that I can't control, I'll just... At this point, Zhao Liner's eyes flashed with a cold light. Zhao Xia sighed and said, I hope everything goes smoothly. I just hope you're not playing with fire. Auntie, don't worry. I'll be fine. I'll definitely succeed. Zhao Liner smiled sweetly. She was so beautiful that it took one's breath away. Lin Feng did not know about Zhao Liner's appearance at the auction house. Lin Feng also did not know about the conversation between Zhao Liner and Zhao Xia. After he returned to his residence with Guya, Lil Tiantian, Bibi, and the Dragon Rabbit, he could not wait to go into seclusion. Lin Feng was now very much looking forward to the Archean Ancestral Worm and Emperor Archaic's successful incubation. He was also very much looking forward to the great desolate demon cultivating insect queen laying eggs. As long as he could successfully cultivate these 3 types of spirit insects, he would be invincible. Unless a great emperor came, even if a 99-layer boundary emperor came, he would not be able to defeat them. Chapter 2476. The Demon Lord said, It's not a problem to use the 9 Heavens Immortal Universe liquid to nurture the spirit bugs, but you only have 1 bottle. You need to think carefully about how to nurture them. Lin Feng nodded. This was indeed a very important matter. Only 1 bottle of 9 Heavens Immortal Universe liquid meant that there was too little of it. However, Lin Feng needed to nurture the primordial ancestral insect, the Emperor Archaic, and the primordial demon refinement insect queen. He could divide them into 3 portions and nurture each one. However, he could also gather the 9 heavens immortal universe liquid to nurture a spirit bug. I want to nurture the Emperor Archaic the most. After all, the legend of the Emperor Archaic is exciting enough. With a flap of his wings, he killed a great emperor. It's hard to imagine how terrifying the Emperor Archaic's cultivation was. Secondly, I want to nurture a swarm of primordial demon refinement insects, but this should be more difficult. The queen insect needs to lay eggs first, and then incubate them. This will take time. At present, the success rate of nurturing the primordial ancestral insect is the highest. Lin Feng stroked his chin and said, "It would be very difficult to nurture the Emperor Archaic. 1 bottle of 9 heavens immortal universe liquid might not be enough to nurture the Emperor Archaic." Therefore, after some consideration, Lin Feng decided to nurture the primordial ancestral insect egg first. If he could nurture the primordial ancestral insect, it would be a good harvest. An ordinary primordial ancestral insect could easily kill a sub-emperor. Some evolved primordial ancestral insects could fight against a great emperor. Like human cultivators, the primordial ancestral insect could also cultivate, improve, and evolve continuously. Its cultivation would rise steadily. Therefore, sub-emperors and even great emperors were not the end of the primordial ancestral insect. It should be said that it was the beginning of the primordial ancestral insect. As long as the primordial ancestral insect reached adulthood, it could easily kill a sub-emperor or even fight against a great emperor. This showed how heaven-defying this talent was. It could continue to cultivate after it reached adulthood. As it cultivated continuously, its cultivation could continue to rise. After making up his mind, Lin Feng decided to first use the 9 heavens immortal universe liquid to let the primordial ancestral insect hatch. With a thought from Lin Feng, the primordial ancestral insect egg flew out. Its shell was now covered in cracks. It wasn't too far away from hatching. However, the closer it was to the end, the more difficult it was to hatch it. External forces were needed. Put in more effort. Give it a push. Only then could the primordial ancestral insect hatch successfully. And clearly, the 9 heavens immortal universe liquid was what Lin Feng needed. Lin Feng refined the 9 heavens immortal universe liquid into pure energy. Then, under the control of his magic power, the energy wrapped around the immemorial ancestral insect egg. The primordial ancestral insect egg began to absorb the energy of the 9 heavens immortal universe liquid. Kacha, as it continued to absorb the energy of the 9 heavens immortal universe liquid, the egg gradually cracked open. This made Lin Feng reveal a look of pleasant surprise. The effects of the 9 heavens immortal universe liquid were indeed astonishing. Was the primordial ancestral insect egg about to hatch? Once the primordial ancestral insect hatched, he would have an extremely terrifying fighting force by his side. Roughly 1/3 of the 9 heavens immortal universe liquid was consumed. The primordial ancestral insect egg began to crack open completely. This made Lin Feng very happy. After all, the 9 heavens immortal universe liquid was much more powerful than he'd imagined. Lin Feng could use the remaining 9 heavens immortal universe liquid to nurture the Emperor Archaic egg. This is the larva of the primordial ancestral insect? Lin Feng looked at one of the small insects in shock. It was only the size of a thumb, golden in color, and plump all over. Its body emanated waves of destructive power. After the little guy appeared, it ate all of the cracked eggshells. Violent ripples spread out from the primordial ancestral insect's body. After eating the eggshell, the insect's aura grew much stronger. Hungry! At that moment, a young voice suddenly appeared in Lin Feng's head. The primordial ancestral insect is transmitting its voice to me? Lin Feng's face was filled with shock. The primordial ancestral insect was simply too heaven-defying. It could even transmit its voice through divine will. After all, the primordial ancestral insect had only just hatched. For it to know how to transmit its voice through divine will at such a tender age, how powerful would it become in the future? Heaven-defying! Truly heaven-defying! Lin Feng quickly took out a dozen or so 100,000-year-old spirit fruits and placed them in front of the primordial ancestral insect. The little guy crawled toward the spirit fruits and began nibbling on them. It didn't take long for it to finish all the spirit fruits. After eating all the spirit fruits, the primordial ancestral insect turned around on the table, seemingly very comfortable. "Are you full?" Lin Feng asked. "I'm so full," the primordial ancestral insect transmitted. "I'll give you a name. From now on, you'll be called Little Gold," Lin Feng said. "Great! I have a name!" the primordial ancestral insect cried out in excitement. "Little Gold, what ability do you have?" "Show me," Lin Feng said. "What's an ability? Can it be eaten?" Little Gold asked doubtfully. Lin Feng was speechless. Why was this fellow's mind filled with thoughts of eating? Did it have any other thoughts besides eating? "An ability is a special ability, such as this." Lin Feng flicked his finger, and a ball of flame appeared in the void, distorting it. Little Gold said, "I don't know how to breathe fire, but I can spit out some golden silk." As soon as Little Gold finished speaking, Little Gold opened its mouth and spat at Lin Feng. Shwa! Rays of golden light flashed before disappearing. Upon closer inspection, those rays of golden light weren't golden at all. Instead, they were something similar to silk, but golden in color. The golden silk formed a huge net in midair, enveloping Lin Feng. Lin Feng found that he couldn't dodge. Slash! Lin Feng flicked his finger, condensing a sword chi to slash at the net. However, to Lin Feng's surprise, the sword chi he condensed couldn't cut through the golden silk. The defensive power of the golden silk was too terrifying. Lin Feng continued to burn it with his heavenly fire. The golden threads were still undamaged. How is this possible? Lin Feng's face was full of disbelief. The golden silk that Little Gold spat out was too terrifying. What material was it made of? It was simply unimaginable. This should be one of Little Gold's innate abilities. The next moment, Lin Feng was entangled by the net formed by the golden silk. The moment his body was entangled, Lin Feng's face paled as he realized that he couldn't circulate his spiritual energy. Little Gold's attack was too heaven-defying. Lin Feng was captured. "Let me go!" Lin Feng shouted. Chapter 2477. Although Xiao Jin had just hatched, its abilities were heaven-defying. Lin Feng was extremely shocked. This little guy was truly worthy of being the famous archaic ancestral insect. It was truly too powerful. Moreover, as Xiao Jin gradually grew up, it would awaken more and more abilities. When that time came, Xiao Jin would definitely become invincible. Just thinking about it made Lin Feng excited. Huff, huff, huff! After Xiao Jin released the golden thread once, he suddenly became extremely tired and fell into a deep sleep. Lin Feng put Xiao Jin into the mountain river ring and let it rest. After all, this little guy had just hatched. Therefore, it was still quite sleepy at this time. The archaic ancestral insect had finally hatched successfully, and Lin Feng had fulfilled one of his wishes. There was still 2/3 of the 9 heavens immortal universe liquid left. Lin Feng planned to use the remaining 2/3 to cultivate the Emperor Archaic egg. The Emperor Archaic was stronger than the archaic ancestral insect, so the difficulty of cultivating it would naturally soar. However, Lin Feng was very confident in cultivating the Emperor Archaic egg. He refined the remaining 9 heavens immortal universe liquid, and then all the refined energy was devoured by the Emperor Archaic egg. Lin Feng immediately discovered that the runes on the Emperor Archaic egg seemed to be gradually awakening. On the other hand, the first crack had finally appeared on the primordial Emperor Butterfly's egg. Ha ha ha, a crack appeared. That's great! After seeing that crack, Lin Feng immediately laughed loudly. As the saying goes, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The first step was often the most difficult. If the first step was completed, the next step would be much easier. 9 heavens immortal universe liquid! I need even more 9 heavens immortal universe liquid! Lin Feng couldn't help but shout. Unfortunately, There was only one bottle of 9 Heavens Immortal Universe liquid. If there were a few more bottles, even the Emperor Archaic Egg could be hatched today. Unfortunately, there was none. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel depressed. After putting away the Emperor Archaic Egg, Lin Feng could finally rest. The next day, Zhao Linair once again sent someone to deliver a letter to Lin Feng. This time, Zhao Linair mentioned in her letter that her elder brother, the Prince of the 9 Provinces Immortal Empire, Zhao Xianqing, would be holding a gathering tonight. At that time, many of the top figures of the younger generation would go to the dojo. Zhao Linair personally sent an invitation to Lin Feng, hoping that Lin Feng would go with her to the gathering place. He did not become her male companion. What is this Zhao Linair planning? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. He had a feeling that Zhao Linair was plotting something. But until now, Lin Feng had not discovered what Zhao Linair's goal was. And Zhao Linair had never shown anything special. Not to mention hostility. Lin Feng sent away the maid sent by Zhao Linair, saying that he would attend the banquet with Zhao Linair. Guya smiled and said, "Looks like Zhao Linair really has her eyes on you. As the princess of the 9 Provinces Immortal Empire, Zhao Linair has a high status. She can get whatever she wants, so why would she target me? What is her goal? Given your understanding of her, what do you think she's plotting?" Lin Feng asked Guya. He had previously discussed Zhao Linair with Guya, but Guya had not said much. Clearly, Guya was holding back. However, the situation was different now. Lin Feng planned to join forces with Guya to deal with the Sky Demon Emperor's son. The Sky Demon Emperor's son probably had something that Guya needed, right? Thus, Lin Feng and Guya's relationship was still quite harmonious. They were now working together. At this time, Guya would not remain silent like she had done before. Guya replied, "Zhao Linair is very smart, and she knows how to scheme against people. She always knows what she wants, and if she's scheming against others, it's definitely because she wants something." "Then what does she want the most right now?" Lin Feng asked. "If I had to guess, I would say that what Zhao Linair wants the most right now is freedom," Guya said. Lin Feng understood what Guya meant by freedom. Zhao Lin probably wanted to leave the 9 Provinces Immortal Realm and head to the outside world. However, as a native of the 9 Provinces Immortal Realm, Zhao Linair would be suppressed by the laws of the 9 Provinces Immortal Realm. She would not be able to leave the 9 Provinces Immortal Realm. Zhao Linair was not the only one who wanted to leave the 9 Provinces Immortal Realm. Lin Feng dared to say that Guya definitely wanted to leave the 9 Provinces Immortal Realm as well. She wanted to see the magnificent world outside. Lin Feng said, "But I can't give her freedom. I can't help her leave the 9 Provinces Immortal Realm." "You're ranked 9th in the genius rankings?" Guya asked. "First," Lin Feng said. Guya was slightly surprised, but then she felt that it was normal for Lin Feng to be ranked first in the genius rankings. She said, "Among everyone, your luck is the strongest. Perhaps Zhao Linair saw this point and wanted to get close to you. However, I don't know what exactly she wants to do. A woman's heart is like a needle at the bottom of the ocean. I hope that Zhao Linair doesn't have any bad ideas." Lin Feng couldn't help but say, "I think you should pray for yourself." Guya couldn't help but gloat. Lin Feng was going to attend the banquet at night. Originally, he wanted little Tian Tian to stay at his residence. However, when little Tian Tian heard about it, she insisted on going with Lin Feng. Lin Feng brought little Tian Tian, Bibi, and the dragon rabbit with him. As for Guya, she wasn't interested in the banquet. She and Zhao Lin were sworn enemies, so she naturally didn't want to see Zhao Linair when she was in dire straits. Someone came to pick up Lin Feng. Lin Feng carried little Tian Tian and boarded the beast carriage with Bibi and the dragon rabbit. Then, they went to the palace to meet up with Zhao Linair. After seeing Zhao Linair, Lin Feng couldn't help but be stunned. Zhao Linair was wearing a snow-white palace dress. She looked like a fairy who had fallen from the 9 heavens. Looking at her more than once would be blasphemy. "Wow, fairy sister!" Little Tian Tian immediately cried out in joy when she saw Zhao Linair. The little girl had seen Zhao Liner before, but she had probably forgotten about her by now. After all, she was still young, and it was easy for her to forget some people she had met before. Little Tian Tian ran to Zhao Liner's side and surrounded her to look at her. The dragon rabbit was unwilling to get close to Zhao Liner. Little Tian Tian had forgotten who Zhao Liner was. However, the dragon rabbit didn't forget. He clearly remembered that the person in front of him was the one who wanted to buy him back then. There was no beauty or ugliness in the dragon rabbit's eyes. There was only the difference of like and dislike. Chapter 2478. The banquet was held in Xingyang Palace. Xingyang Palace was also called East Palace. It was where the Crown Prince lived. This was the palace where the Crown Prince, Zhao Xianqing, lived. Speaking of Zhao Xianqing, all the natives in Jiuzhou Wonderland probably knew him. Because Zhao Xianqing was really too famous. When Zhao Xianqing was born, there was a natural phenomenon. It was said that a boundless ocean appeared. The ocean floated above the imperial palace, and there was a dragon's roar in the ocean. After Zhao Xianqing was born, he held the birthmark of a real dragon with both hands. He showed a lot of extraordinary things since childhood. It was said that Zhao Xianqing had an extremely rare body of a real dragon. For so many years, Lin Feng had only seen one person with a real dragon body. That was Huangfu Qingtian, who had stunned the ages. Of course, Zhao Xianqing was not the same as Huangfu Qingtian. Zhao Xuanqing's true dragon body was inborn, while Huangfu Qingtian's true dragon body was formed by taking a large amount of true dragon blood, and his own blood was changed by the true dragon blood. One was born with a real dragon body, while the other was born with a real dragon body. Of course, there was a difference. But now Huangfu Qingtian's soul had already returned to the ninth heaven. He died in Lin Feng's hands. The East Palace was not very far from the Imperial Palace. It was only a dozen miles away. They could reach the East Palace quickly by beast carriage. Lin Feng and the princess sat in the same carriage. In this era, men and women were not allowed to touch each other. They were absolutely not allowed to sit in the same carriage. But Zhao Liner took the initiative to invite Lin Feng to sit in the same carriage. Since Zhao Liner was not afraid of other people's gossip, Lin Feng was naturally not afraid of it. He also wanted to see what Zhao Liner was up to. Lin Feng was bold because of his skill, so he was not worried about being schemed by Zhao Liner. There was a saying, "Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir." If Zhao Liner really schemed against him, he would take the blow. Lin Feng and Zhao Liner sat very close to each other. He could even smell the virgin fragrance from her body. Zhao Liner was clearly a clean woman. At the very least, she was still as pure as an immortal lotus. Little Tian Tian snuggled up in Lin Feng's arms as the carriage slowly moved forward. From time to time, she would ask some strange questions. The little girl's imagination was wild and unrestrained. Not long after, they arrived at the Eastern Palace. The Eastern Palace was bustling with activity. On the way, Lin Feng asked around and found out why Zhao Xianqing had gathered so many young geniuses. It was because Zhao Xianqing had obtained 3 immortal stones. These 3 immortal stones were extremely extraordinary. Zhao Xianqing suspected that there might be living creatures inside, so he invited everyone to observe the stones together. This shocked Lin Feng greatly. During this period of time, more and more creatures broke out from the stone. And the thing that Zhao Xianqing had obtained, in a sense, was also a kind of stone material. If there was life in it, it would be very shocking. It might be the second Qing Emperor, or even more powerful than the Qing Emperor. "My brother wants to cut open the stone, but he has some reservations," Zhao Liner said. Lin Feng said, "Cutting open the stone now is indeed scary. It's very easy for unexpected things to happen. We have to think twice before we act. Does young master think that it's not a good idea to act?" Zhao Liner asked. Lin Feng said, "Whether or not to act, I'm sure your brother already knows." Zhao Liner nodded and did not say anything else. "Look, the princess's carriage is here." There was a large group of young geniuses waiting at the square in front of the Eastern Palace. They were all waiting for Zhao Lin's arrival. Now that they saw Zhao Lin's carriage, they could not help but reveal excited expressions. They were all Zhao Lin's admirers, and they were all racking their brains to win her favor. Among these young geniuses, there were some that Lin Feng had seen before, such as Mo Tianyan and the others. However, there were many that Lin Feng had not seen before, but they were all from extraordinary backgrounds and were very powerful. Mo Tianyan and the others could be considered as the top geniuses of the 9 states immortal realm, but they were not supreme geniuses. There were also some people with extremely powerful means that Mo Tianyan and the others could not compare to. Princess Lin, you're here. Many of the young geniuses were all smiles when they saw the carriage's curtains open. They wanted to help Zhao Lin down the carriage. However, in the next moment, they were all stunned. Because the person who walked out of the carriage was a man. It was none other than Lin Feng. Everyone, please retract your hands. I'm not interested in this, Lin Feng said calmly. Many of them rolled their eyes and quickly retracted their hands. We're not interested in this either. These cultivators cried out in their hearts. However, these people then glared at Lin Feng fiercely. Because Lin Feng actually walked out of Zhao Lin's carriage. Zhao Lin's carriage had never been ridden by any other man before. Lin Feng was the first man to ride on Zhao Lin's carriage. At this moment, many of them thought of many things. The more they thought, the heavier their hearts became. Kid, who are you? Many of the young geniuses looked at Lin Feng unkindly. They did not know Lin Feng. If he was a disciple of a top family, they should know him. If Lin Feng managed to get Zhao Lin, where would these young geniuses put their faces? Some of them recognized Lin Feng. Chapter 2479. Everyone looked over and was shocked to see who it was. This was a young master with a tall and straight figure, handsome and unrestrained. He emitted a cold aura, which was directed at Lin Feng. Huang Tianmu, he's here too! Many people became excited after seeing him. He was not simple, he was one of the best of the younger generation. Even Mo Tianyan and the others were much weaker than Huang Tianmu. Many people believed that Huang Tianmu would soon become a sovereign genius. His talent didn't lose out to those sovereign geniuses at all. The only difference was age. Huang Tianmu had only cultivated for 300 years. If it wasn't for his age, he would have become one of the supreme geniuses a long time ago. Other than those supreme prodigies who could suppress Huang Tianmu, there was probably no one in the younger generation of the 9 states immortal realm who could do so. Huang Tianmu was also one of Zhao Lin's suitors. When Huang Tianmu saw that Lin Feng was holding Zhao Lin's hand, his heart burned with jealousy. He had never been able to hold Zhao Lin's hand. I won't let go, Lin Feng said indifferently. Not only did he not let go of Zhao Lin's hand, he even stuck his body close to hers. This kid is really audacious. Many people looked at Lin Feng with jealousy. They wanted to see Zhao Lin get angry. However, when Lin Feng held her hand, Zhao Lin did not struggle, nor did she get angry. What did that mean? Many people lamented in their hearts. Lin Feng couldn't really have something going on with Zhao Lin, right? That guy is called Lin Feng, he's an outsider. He's only seen Princess Lin a few times. How could Princess Lin give her heart to him? A young noble who had seen Lin Feng before said. Seeing Lin Feng holding Zhao Lin's hand made him extremely jealous. He couldn't help but reveal Lin Feng's identity. But why didn't Princess Lin struggle? Someone was puzzled. Princess Lin is kind. Maybe she didn't want to embarrass him, someone said. But how did this kid get on Princess Lin's beast carriage? Someone raised another question. Have you forgotten? This Lin Feng has a lot of deathly still fruits. Maybe Princess Lin wants to make a deal with him, so she invited him to board the beast carriage, someone said. All of their questions were answered, and the expressions of those young masters became much better. Now, they looked at Lin Feng with a gloating expression. Lin Feng didn't let go of Zhao Lin's hand even after Huang Tianmu's warning. Instead, his grip on Zhao Lin tightened, and his body was pressed against Zhao Lin Er's. He was obviously provoking Huang Tianmu. With Huang Tianmu's personality, how could he tolerate this? Do you know what you're doing? Making such a foolish move will only lead you to a tragic end, said Huang Tianmu indifferently while looking at Lin Feng disdainfully. This was a kind of disdain that came from his bones. He thought highly of himself, and didn't think much of Lin Feng. He also didn't think much of Lin Feng. In his opinion, Lin Feng was not on the same level as him. Do you know that disturbing my private time with Lin is also a taboo for me? Lin Feng replied indifferently. Liner? Private time? Damn, can he be any more shameless? Many people's eyes began to spit fire. Now many cultivators wanted nothing more than to slap Lin Feng to death. However, they suppressed their anger and waited for Huang Tianmu to deal with Lin Feng. Princess Liner, have you ever been threatened by this person because of something? You can tell me, and I'll definitely get justice for you. Huang Tianmu looked at Zhao Liner. No. Zhao Liner's tone was very cold. His cold tone made Huang Tianmu feel very uncomfortable. Zhao Liner had always been gentle to people and had never been so cold. Huang Tianmu's heart was filled with endless anger. He blamed all of this on Lin Feng. If it wasn't for Lin Feng, how could Zhao Liner be like this? How could she be so cold to him? Scram as far as you can. Since you're also a guest today, I'll spare you. Otherwise, I don't mind making a move. Huang Tianmu looked at Lin Feng indifferently, looking at Lin Feng with a corrosive gaze. His tone was also unquestionable. He was very arrogant, and insufferably arrogant. However, Huang Tianmu was too strong, and he was qualified to be arrogant. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Lin Feng said indifferently. Do you think you can jump around in front of me just because you have some cultivation? If it wasn't for His Highness the Crown Prince's banquet today, you would have already been trampled under my feet and begging me to spare you. Huang Tianmu clasped his hands behind his back and looked at Lin Feng with disdain. As far as he was concerned, he could suppress Lin Feng with a snap of his fingers. Uncle Lin, this guy is so annoying. Xiao Tiantian wants to punch him and send him flying, Xiao Tiantian said in a childish voice. Many people couldn't help but roll their eyes. This little girl was quite brave, daring to say such things. You little bastard who doesn't know death! Huang Tianmu looked at Xiao Tiantian coldly. Lin Feng was furious. Xiao Tiantian's words carried no harm, but Huang Tianmu had gone too far. Lin Feng didn't intend to endure any longer. If he continued to endure, did Huang Tianmu really think that he was afraid of him? Little girl, we're attending the banquet today. You have to be a beautiful little princess. Lin Feng rubbed Xiao Tiantian's head. Before leaving today, Guya had specially dressed Xiao Tiantian up. Xiao Tiantian was now wearing a princess dress and looked very cute. She looked just like a little princess. Xiao Tiantian nodded and said, All right then. Xiao Tiantian will be very obedient today. Lin Feng smiled and asked Zhao Liner to look after Xiao Tiantian. He then walked towards Huang Tianmu. Is this guy really going to fight Huang Tianmu? Many people were surprised. They hadn't thought that Lin Feng would actually dare to fight. They had thought that Lin Feng would hide behind Zhao Liner. He probably wants to show off in front of Princess Liner. There'll be a good show later. He'll probably be beaten half to death by Huang Tianmu. Someone said. You're not a coward after all. Huang Tianmu was also surprised, but then he said mockingly. But I can suppress someone like you with one hand. Huang Tianmu was very arrogant, and his words were full of contempt for Lin Feng. Let's see who's suppressing who, Lin Feng said calmly. Boom! Huang Tianmu attacked, and a terrifying aura emanated from his body. He took a step forward and instantly appeared beside Lin Feng. He opened his hand and slapped towards Lin Feng. Chapter 2480. They're fighting. That brat is doomed. With his cultivation, he won't be killed by Huang Tianmu, right? That's possible. Huang Tianmu's cultivation is so terrifying. How can an ordinary person resist him? Acting tough in front of Huang Tianmu is simply courting death. Many people cried out in alarm. With Huang Tianmu's cultivation, it was fine for him to act tough. After all, no one would dare to stop him if he was strong enough. After all, this was a world where the strong reigned supreme. Lin Feng did not have the strength to act tough in front of Huang Tianmu. In the eyes of these cultivators, he was simply courting death. Of course, there were also some who felt that Huang Tianmu might not be able to defeat Lin Feng. For example, Mo Tianyan and the others had seen Lin Feng fight before, so they knew how powerful Lin Feng was. Therefore, they felt that Lin Feng might not necessarily lose to Huang Tianmu. If Lin Feng could defeat Huang Tianmu, then it would be terrifying. Zhao Lin's beautiful eyes stared at Lin Feng. She was unable to estimate Lin Feng's actual strength. Because Zhao Lin was scheming against Lin Feng, she needed to have a rough understanding of Lin Feng's strength. Only then would it be easier for her to act. If she did not have any understanding of Lin Feng, then some unexpected changes might occur. There were not many people who thought highly of Lin Feng. Therefore, when Huang Tianmu's attack was launched, many people felt that Lin Feng would not be able to withstand a single attack from Huang Tianmu. Just as Huang Tianmu's attack was about to land on Lin Feng moved. Lin Feng punched at Huang Tianmu. He had used the ability, time passing through billions of years. Huang Tianmu did not know how powerful Lin Feng's punch was, so he sneered. In his opinion, Lin Feng's counterattack was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Bang! Following a violent collision, the two attacks collided. Lin Feng did not move at all, but Huang Tianmu was forced to retreat. Lin Feng, who had broken through to the heavenly god realm, was no longer a match for him in the younger generation. Lin Feng did not know the cultivation level of those supreme geniuses in the immortal realm of the 9 states, or if they could contend with him. But he knew that it was almost impossible for Huang Tianmu to contend with him. This person was still far from being on the same level as him. How is this possible? Many people cried out in surprise. Huang Tianmu had actually been forced back. It was truly unbelievable. Huang Tianmu was extremely strong, but surprisingly, he couldn't compete with Lin Feng. How could Lin Feng be so strong? Huang Tianmu's bodies at this moment, Huang Tianmu's body, and Huang Tianmu's, What's going on? Many people cried out in disbelief. Huang Tianmu had only exchanged a punch with Lin Feng, but his body was aging at a visible rate. His lifespan seemed to have been taken away in an instant. Why is this happening? Huang Tianmu looked at his aging body in horror. The unknown was the most frightening thing. Those who did not know about Lin Feng's ability, time passing through billions of years, would have been scared out of their wits. Huang Tianmu was the same. His heart was filled with fear. He looked like a completely different person compared to his previous high and mighty attitude. I'm going to kill you! Huang Tianmu roared and formed the heavenly lion's seal with both hands. Roar! The roar shook the sky, and a huge heavenly lion appeared behind Huang Tianmu. The heavenly lion was snow-white all over. Waves of destructive energy waves were emitted from his body. Huang Tianmu's lifespan was taken away, and his strength was greatly weakened. However, he was still very powerful, and the seal he formed was extremely terrifying. The heavenly lion seal formed, and the huge heavenly lion pounced on Lin Feng. It's useless. No matter how you struggle, you're just an ant in my eyes. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent as he stepped forward. He waved his right fist like a divine king and smashed it at the huge heavenly lion. Wherever his fist passed, it seemed to be able to shatter the sky, shatter the firmament, collapse billions of worlds, and suppress the mountains and seas. At this moment, everyone looked at Lin Feng in shock. They felt that Lin Feng was like a divine king who had descended to the world. This made many people feel like prostrating themselves in worship. Bang! Lin Feng's divine fist was invincible. He did not even use any magic or the arm of the dragon and elephant. It was a punch punched out with the power of one's physical body. Lin Feng's physical body had been transformed long ago. He could fight against true dragons, gods, and demons. How powerful was he? His physical body was far beyond that of an ordinary quasi-emperor. Even the physical bodies of true dragons, gods, and other terrifying creatures of the quasi-emperor realm might not be able to compete with Lin Feng's physical body, let alone other races. The human race was relatively weak in terms of physical body. Among the human race, there were probably only a handful of people who could cultivate their physical body to such a terrifying level like Lin Feng. Lin Feng could kill Huang Tianmu's magic with pure physical strength. That punch seemed to be able to penetrate heaven and earth. The heavenly lion condensed by Huang Tianmu was directly pierced through by Lin Feng's invincible punch. Then, Lin Feng's terrifying punch did not slow down as it blasted toward Huang Tianmu. Huang Tianmu was stupefied. Lin Feng's attacks were much more powerful than he had imagined. Huang Tianmu was astonished. Huang Tianmu had no time to dodge, so he raised his arms and used the iron chain across the river to block Lin Feng's attack. Crack, crack! However, his arms were directly broken by Lin Feng. His entire body was sent flying. Wah! He spat out large mouthfuls of blood in midair and fell to the ground screaming. Everyone was shocked. Lin Feng was really too strong. Huang Tianmu was such a powerful expert, but he did not even have the power to resist Lin Feng. He didn't even use his magic power in that punch just now, someone said with a trembling voice. A stone stirred up 1,000 ripples. If this cultivator had not said it, no one would have even noticed it. Didn't that mean that Lin Feng had just killed Huang Tianmu with his physical body? Wasn't that too terrifying? If he could defeat an expert like Huang Tianmu with his physical body, how strong would he be if he used his magic power? The surrounding cultivators looked at Lin Feng with a horrified expression. You're too weak. You've disappointed me. Lin Feng looked at Huang Tianmu indifferently, then turned around and left. A person like Huang Tianmu was not qualified for him to attack again. Lin Feng's indifferent attitude was the greatest mockery and disdain to Huang Tianmu. Chapter 2481. Lin Feng carried little Tian Tian in his arms, then looked at Zhao Lin'er with a smile. Lin'er, let's go in. Lin Feng extended his right hand, while Zhao Lin'er placed her left hand in Lin Feng's, allowing him to hold her hand. Then, they walked into Jingyang Palace. He's too savage. He's like a tyrannosaurus in human form. I wonder how he compares to those supreme geniuses? That guy should be better at physical combat, right? Maybe he's not good at divine abilities. That might be his weakness. I think he just hasn't shown his divine abilities yet. It's not that he's not good at divine abilities. After Lin Feng left, many people started talking. They looked at Huang Tianmu, who had fainted, and felt sorry for him. That bastard didn't really win Princess Lin'er's heart, did he? At that moment, some cultivators wailed and cursed Lin Feng loudly. They thought that Zhao Lin'er, a beautiful flower, might have been plucked by Lin Feng. There was no need to mention how depressed he was. Many people sighed, wanting nothing more than to tear Lin Feng to shreds. Jingyang Palace covered an area of more than 1,000 acres. It was huge. There were courtyards everywhere, and the environment was beautiful. Jingyang Palace was divided into 3 main parts. The first part was the outer palace, where guests were usually entertained. The second section was the central palace. This was where Zhao Xuanqing's office, dining, treasury, armory, and other storehouses were located. Of course, Jingyang Palace was huge, and Zhao Xuanqing had tens of thousands of people. Most of them worked in Jingyang Palace. Apart from the office, the servants of Jingyang Palace also lived in the central palace. Some of the guest rooms were also located in a few courtyards in the central palace, and the environment was very elegant. The inner palace was where Zhao Xuanqing lived, and the people who lived there were all his family members. Outsiders were not allowed to enter the inner palace. Otherwise, they would be executed. Zhao Xuanqing's banquet was naturally held in the outer palace. The Jingyang Palace was 300 meters tall and took up an area of 20 mu. The construction was magnificent and majestic, giving off the aura of a royal family. The banquet was held here. When Lin Feng and the others arrived, Jingyang Hall was already very lively. The people inside had no idea what was happening outside. Of course, even if they knew, they would only be slightly surprised and wouldn't think too much about it. They didn't have much interaction with Lin Feng, so naturally, they wouldn't pay too much attention to Lin Feng. Zhao Lin'er was different. She was the princess of the 9 provinces Immortal Empire. Her every action would attract the attention of everyone. No matter where she went, she would always be the focus of attention. When everyone saw Zhao Lin'er and Lin Feng walking together rather intimately, many people were completely stunned. Then, they revealed an expression of disbelief. Zhao Lin'er had always been a clean and honest person. There were countless geniuses who pursued her, but no one had heard of her having any scandals with any of them. But now, Zhao Lin'er was acting so intimately with a young man. Their bodies were almost touching, and the two of them were whispering to each other from time to time. It was as if they were lovers in their honeymoon period. What made everyone speechless was that the young man was actually carrying a delicate little girl. Many people couldn't help but feel puzzled. That little girl couldn't be that young man's daughter, right? Did he manage to woo Princess Zhao Lin'er with his daughter? Thinking of this possibility, many people felt like fainting. Brother Zhao, does Sister Lin'er already have a boyfriend? Someone looked at Crown Prince Zhao Xianqing in puzzlement. Zhao Xianqing was also confused. Although he was Zhao Lin'er's biological sister, he didn't know what was going on. Most of the time, he felt that he couldn't see through his sister. They should be close friends of the opposite sex, Zhao Xianqing said. He didn't dare to be sure. The relationship between siblings in the royal family wasn't strong. It was the same for Zhao Xianqing and Zhao Lin'er. Therefore, Zhao Xianqing didn't know much about his sister. However, the marriage of a member of the royal family was a big deal. Most of the time, it wasn't up to them to decide. If Zhao Lin'er had someone she liked, it would be a big deal. Zhao Xianqing was also paying attention to this matter. He looked at Lin Feng and couldn't help but frown. Who is this person? I've never seen him before. As the crown prince of the 9 continents Immortal Kingdom, Zhao Xianqing knew most of the young masters of the major factions in the 9 continents Immortal Realm. Perhaps there were some hidden geniuses that he didn't know. Zhao Xianqing felt that Lin Feng might be such a person. Therefore, he asked, I don't know him. The people around Zhao Xianqing shook their heads. They didn't know Lin Feng either. Go and find out, Zhao Xianqing said. Soon, someone found out the news. It's said that he's from the outside world, the cultivator who went to find out the news said. So he's from the outside world. Lin'er has always been interested in the outside world, Zhao Xianqing said. Many people were guessing Lin Feng's identity. Someone recognized Lin Feng. They had seen Lin Feng on the Melodious Sound Island before. Therefore, Lin Feng's identity quickly spread. What? He's a cultivator from the outside world? Many people were shocked. They looked at Lin Feng with envy. Ordinary people spent their whole lives trying to stand out. However, these people who stood at the peak of the 9 continents Immortal Realm had different pursuits. They longed to see a wider world. They longed to leave the 9 continents Immortal Realm, but they couldn't. This was because the 9 continents Immortal Realm had its own rules of order that suppressed the natives. They had to stay in the 9 continents Immortal Realm for the rest of their lives. For the outsiders, the 9 continents Immortal Realm was like a huge treasure trove that was filled with countless opportunities. However, for the cultivators of the major factions in the 9 continents Immortal Realm, it was more like a cage. Many people came forward to greet Zhao Lin'er. There were also many people talking about Lin Feng. They wanted to know more about the outside world from Lin Feng. They longed to know everything about the outside world. Zhao Lin'er had a gentle and charming smile on her face. She nodded slightly in response to the cultivators who came forward to greet her. My royal brother is over there. Come with me to greet him, Zhao Lin'er said. Then, she pointed at a young man. Lin Feng looked over and saw Zhao Xianqing. Zhao Xianqing looked very young. In fact, he wasn't much older than Zhao Lin'er. Lin Feng carried Zhao Tiantian and Zhao Lin'er to Zhao Xuanqing's side. Royal brother! Zhao Lin'er bowed. Royal sister, there's no need to be so polite. Zhao Xuanqing smiled. Royal brother, this is Lin Feng, Lin Gongzi. He came from the 9 continents immortal realm to train. Lin Gongzi, this is my royal brother, the crown prince of the 9 continents immortal kingdom, Zhao Xuanqing. Chapter 2482. Nice to meet you, nice to meet you. Both parties cupped their fists. Zhao Xuanqing smiled. Brother Lin, you must have entered the 9 continents paradise through the prodigy ranking, right? That's right. Lin Feng nodded. Congratulations, Brother Lin. Once you leave the 9 continents paradise, you'll probably soar to the heavens, Zhao Xuanqing said with a smile. Cultivators who entered the 9 continents paradise through the prodigy ranking were enveloped by the providence of heaven and earth. Thus, they would often obtain extraordinary opportunities after entering the 9 continents paradise. Many people would soar to the heavens after leaving the 9 continents paradise. As the crown prince of the 9 continents paradise, it was not surprising that Zhao Xuanqing knew about this. Thank you for your auspicious words, Brother Zhao. Lin Feng smiled. Both parties chatted for a while. Zhao Xuanqing still had to greet other guests, so Lin Feng did not continue to disturb him. Zhao Lin'er was familiar with many people. Many people greeted Zhao Lin'er and came up to chat with her. Lin Feng carried little Tiantian to eat. There were many tables in the hall on the first floor. On the tables were various delicacies, desserts, drinks, and wine. If one was hungry or thirsty, they could choose something to taste. Little Tiantian loved desserts. Perhaps it had something to do with her age. Children her age tended to like desserts. Bibi and Dragon Rabbit opened a bottle of red wine. The 2 little fellows drank one mouthful after another. This was wine brewed from grapes. The alcohol content was not particularly strong. Thus, it was not easy to get drunk. Lin Feng did not like this kind of wine. He preferred stronger wine. However, Bibi and Dragon Rabbit clearly liked red wine. It was sour and sweet. It tasted good. The 2 little fellows were addicted to it. They drank bottle after bottle. A few beautiful women and socialites surrounded Lin Feng. They were all dressed to the nines, and Lin Feng was in the middle. Lin Gongzi, everyone is saying that you and Princess Lin are lovers. I wonder if the rumors are true? A beautiful woman asked with a smile. She was very curious about this. These beautiful women and socialites often went to various social venues, so they were very good at chatting with strangers. Although it was their first time talking to Lin Feng, they all seemed to have known him for a long time. Little Tiantian was busy devouring the desserts and had no time to deal with Lin Feng. Lin Feng was also a little bored, so he started chatting with these beautiful women and socialites. He smiled and said, My relationship with Lin'er is a secret. Lin Gongzi, you're so naughty. What's there to hide? Tell us. A beautiful woman said coquettishly as she hugged one of Lin Feng's arms. She said coquettishly. Lin Feng smiled and said, It's not good to make some things too clear. Chapter 2483. Lin Feng did not expect that someone would provoke him like this as soon as he entered the hall. He looked towards the source of the voice and saw a cultivator in blue. This cultivator was very young, but he was abnormally strong. At this moment, he was looking at him with a pair of cold and arrogant eyes, like a god looking down on a lowly ant. This was a kind of contempt for Lin Feng that came from the depths of his soul. Du Tianming! Why is he targeting this person? Some people were puzzled and did not know what was going on. Many people in the hall did not know Lin Feng. Someone said, That cultivator is called Lin Feng. I heard that he taught Du Tianyu a lesson on the Melodious Sound Island. Later, it was said that Du Wenzong wanted to kill him and steal his treasure, but he died in the hands of this person. There's such a thing? This person is not famous, but he has such powerful strength. Could he be a foreign cultivator? Another person said. That's right, he's a foreign cultivator. Another person replied. After knowing Lin Feng's identity, many people shook their heads slightly. A foreign cultivator offending a big family like the Du family was courting death. However, they did not say anything more. After all, it had nothing to do with them. These people were happy to be at ease and watch a good show. I don't know how to kneel and die. Why don't you show me? Let me pay my respects and learn from you. Lin Feng replied indifferently. Pfft. Many people burst out laughing. No one expected Lin Feng to answer Du Tianming in such a way. He actually wanted Du Tianming to show him how to do it. The corner of Du Tianming's mouth twitched violently. He looked at Lin Feng indifferently and said, Are you pretending to be crazy? I can suppress a cultivator like you with a raise of my hand. If you don't want to suffer physical pain, you should know what to do. Du Tianming was very arrogant. He did not put Lin Feng in his eyes. His words were full of contempt and disdain for Lin Feng. Of course, this person was very powerful. Because he was one of the more than 10 supreme geniuses in the 9 continents immortal realm, no one knew how strong he was. Therefore, it was normal for Du Tianming to be arrogant. In many people's eyes, being targeted by Du Tianming was Lin Feng's bad luck. Some people are too full of themselves, and may end up digging a grave for themselves. Lin Feng replied coldly. Lin Feng was not afraid of Du Tianming. Even if he could not kill Du Tianming, Lin Feng was confident that he could escape unscathed. You reckless fool. If it weren't for His Highness the Crown Prince, you would already be a corpse. Do you know that? Du Tianming looked at Lin Feng with disdain. In his opinion, killing Lin Feng was too easy. The reason why he hadn't made a move yet was because he was giving face to the Crown Prince, Zhao Xianqing. Everyone was amazed. Du Tianming's character had always been strong, and now he once again displayed this kind of strength. Let's see who will win in the end, Lin Feng replied coldly. In reality, he was also restraining himself. He didn't want to make a move at someone else's banquet. After all, he was only a guest. If they were outside, he would have already attacked. Big bad guy, if you are so fierce to little Tiantian's uncle again, little Tiantian will knock you out. Little Tiantian snorted. Although she was young, she could still see some clues. Du Tianming was obviously targeting Lin Feng. This made little Tiantian very angry. Many people shook their heads helplessly. A little girl actually dared to say that she would knock Du Tianming out. How much did she look down on Du Tianming? However, there were also some people who had strange expressions. They felt that little Tiantian was not simple. There were also some people who had seen little Tiantian fight on Melodious Sound Island. They had even seen little Tiantian and Lin Feng working together to kill Du Wenzhong. They knew that although little Tiantian was young, she was definitely not simple. Du Tianming also knew about this. The Du clan had already sent people to investigate Lin Feng and little Tiantian. Du Tianming sneered and said, I don't mind killing you all one by one. Du Tianming suddenly stood up, as if he really wanted to attack. He no longer concealed the killing intent in his body. That terrifying killing intent seemed to have condensed into a solid form. Brother Du, hold on. At this moment, Zhao Xianqing spoke. Your Highness, are you trying to stop me? Du Tianming's expression was extremely gloomy. Xingyang Palace is not a place to settle personal grudges, Zhao Xianqing said. Fine, I'll give your Highness face, Du Tianming said. He was actually not afraid of Zhao Xianqing. After all, he and Zhao Xianqing were both supreme geniuses. Moreover, his Du clan was also a power that dominated a region. They were not under the control of the 9 continents' immortal empire. Naturally, he would not be afraid of Zhao Xianqing. However, they were from the same generation. He still had to give Zhao Xianqing face. Du Tianming then looked at Lin Feng. That was a look of superiority. He said with contempt and disdain, You should feel very lucky because the Crown Prince is pleading with you. This way, you can live a little longer. You think too highly of yourself. Lin Feng sneered. Du Tianming did not say anything else. he was very disdainful of Lin Feng. He did not put Lin Feng in his heart. If he wanted to make a move, he could kill Lin Feng any time. In his opinion, even if Lin Feng grew 3 heads and 6 arms, he would not be able to escape from his grasp. This was a strong confidence. And this confidence came from his own strength. Du Tianming had always been this confident and arrogant. However, he did have the qualifications. Among the younger generation, he was one of the most powerful figures. Many people felt that it was a pity that they could not see the battle. They originally wanted to see the battle between Lin Feng and Du Tianming. Now that Zhao Xianqing had stopped them, they did not know if the two of them would fight later. Many people were looking forward to that battle. "Sister, Brother Lin, let's find a place to sit," Zhao Xianqing said with a smile. His smile was very infectious and very gentle. It was very easy for people to have a good impression of him. Zhao Xianqing was a person who hid his strength deeply. His face seemed to always have this kind of gentle expression. People like him were very good at hiding their character. This kind of person was even more terrifying. "Thank you, brother!" Zhao Liner bowed slightly. Lin Feng also cupped his fists. Then, they found a place to sit. "Uncle Lin, little Tian Tian wants to eat that." As soon as they sat down, little Tian Tian pointed at a spirit fruit on the table. The spirit fruit's fragrance filled the air. Little Tian Tian almost drooled. Lin Feng gave the spirit fruit to little Tian Tian, and told her that if she was full, she could take the rest of the spirit fruit back. There was no need to eat all of it in one go. It would be bad if she stuffed herself. Many people could not help but roll their eyes. This guy was really something. Not only did he come to someone's house as a guest to eat, he even wanted to take something from them. Could his face be any thicker? At this time, Zhao Xianqing looked at Lin Feng and said with a smile, "I heard that Brother Lin has obtained many deathly still fruits. Is that true?" Chapter 2484. The news of the deathly still fruit had been leaked by that bastard Azure Ox on purpose. Clearly, he was trying to cause trouble for Lin Feng. That bastard was truly despicable. Lin Feng had even given him a deathly still fruit in vain. Thinking of the Azure Ox, Lin Feng felt an urge to butcher that bastard and make him into beef soup. "Don't listen to the rumors outside. How could I have a deathly still fruit? Those are just rumors. Don't take them seriously," Lin Feng denied. He did have over a dozen deathly still fruits on him, but he had no intention of using them to trade. Lin Feng still wanted to give them to his women to increase their cultivation. It was that Azure Ox Emperor. He said that he once searched for deathly still fruits with Brother Lin, and Brother Lin obtained all of them. There were over a dozen in total. "I'm sure Brother Lin still has a lot left," Zhao Xianqing said. Lin Feng said, "Are the words of an ox trustworthy? He's obviously trying to frame me." Seeing that Lin Feng refused to admit it, Zhao Xianqing did not say anything else. Many people had different thoughts. They had heard of the rumors before, and now that they saw Lin Feng in person, they had different thoughts. Some wanted to trade with Lin Feng for the deathly still fruits, but there were also some who harbored evil intentions towards Lin Feng, wanting to snatch the deathly still fruits. Regardless of whether they had good intentions or evil intentions, they restrained themselves very well. This was not the place to do such things. "It's fate that we're able to gather here today. Shall we raise our cups?" Zhao Xianqing said with a smile. Everyone raised their cups. Then, they downed the wine in their cups. "I heard that Brother Yuan comprehended an unparalleled technique on Great Demonic Mountain. It seems to be the legacy of a demon lord. I wonder if Brother Yuan would be willing to show us this technique?" Suddenly, a beautiful female cultivator said with a smile. She then looked at a young man with a thin figure. The young man was called Yuan Shan, and he was also one of the supreme geniuses. His reputation and strength were widespread. However, in stark contrast to Du Tianming, this supreme genius called Yuan Shan usually kept a low profile. "Oh? There's such a thing? This is the first time we've heard of it. I didn't think that Brother Yuan would obtain such a heaven-defying opportunity. Brother Yuan, is it convenient for you to display your divine ability? Let's broaden our horizons, many cultivators said as they looked at Yuan Shan. Lin Feng was also very surprised. This person actually obtained the orthodoxy of a devil lord. This was too terrifying. The devil master was the lord of all devils, equivalent to the lord of gods and immortals. Lin Feng guessed that the demon lord was one of the most heaven-defying existences among the immortals. Since ancient times, there were very few experts of this level. It was said that since the beginning of the world, there were no more than 10 existences at the level of Devil Master. It could be seen how difficult it was to become a demon master. The legacy left behind by an expert of this level was too terrifying. He must be unimaginably powerful. For this young cultivator known as Yuan Shan to be able to obtain the legacy of a demonic mountain, he must be someone with great fortune. He smiled and said, "Since everyone wants to see it, I'll show you my incompetence." Yuan Shan walked out and began to display this ancient and powerful sacred art to the crowd. He stood in the center of the hall and began to form seals. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Yuan Shan, not daring to miss any details. As the seals condensed one after another, behind Yuan Shan, a pitch-black world vaguely appeared. An oppressive aura filled the hall. Many people were shocked. This divine ability had just been condensed, but it was already emitting such a terrifying aura. Once it was completely condensed, how terrifying would it be? At this moment, Yuan Shan dispersed the cultivation technique. He said, "I've only cultivated the starting stance, so I can't truly display this divine ability." He didn't continue to show everyone the mysteries of this devil lord's inheritance. But Lin Feng and the others knew that it wasn't because he hadn't grasped the essence of this divine ability. It was because Yuan Shan was holding back. This was a peerless ultimate technique. At the critical moment, it could reverse the situation of a life-and-death battle. Yuan Shan naturally didn't want to expose this peerless ultimate technique too early. If it was exposed too early, someone would be unfavorable to him, and they would be on guard. Everyone was very clear about this, but no one pointed it out. The banquet was very lively, and everyone chatted happily. Midway, a small trade fair was held. Everyone took out whatever precious treasures they had. They used treasures that they didn't need to exchange for treasures that they needed. Usually, there would be such a small trade fair at a gathering of high-level cultivators. This was because it was very difficult for everyone to gather together. This kind of gathering was a good opportunity. Lin Feng didn't make a move. He wasn't interested in the items that these people took out. After the trade fair ended, a supreme genius said, "I heard that your highness obtained 3 immortal stones. Can you take them out for us to take a look?" "Of course." Zhao Xianqing nodded and waved his right hand. Swoosh! There was a flash of light. 3 immortal stones flew out. The first immortal stone was shaped like an old monk sitting cross-legged in meditation. It was surrounded by a golden luster, and runes were surging around it. It was mysterious and unfathomable. The second immortal stone was like a huge millstone. It was as black as ink and had a cold aura. Chapter 2485. Goddess Murong, can you tell what's so special about these stones? Someone asked. They were very interested in the 3 stones that Zhao Xianqing had taken out. Murong Shuang said, "There are too many secrets hidden in these high-quality stones. It's not easy to uncover these secrets. Most of the time, one has to take a huge risk. I have a scroll of stone observation map here. I can give it to Fairy Murong. I'll have to trouble Fairy Murong to take a look at it," Zhao Xianqing said. The stone observation scroll was extraordinary. It was said that there were many mysterious stone observation methods recorded in it. However, whether one could comprehend the mysteries in it depended on one's luck. Zhao Xianqing was obviously very interested in, and had high expectations for the 3 immortal stones. That was why he took out such a valuable treasure to ask Murong Shuang to take a look at the 3 stones. "Your Highness, you're too kind. We're friends. It's only right to help a friend," Murong Shuang smiled. This woman was very good with words. Now that Zhao Xianqing had said that he would give her the stone observation scroll, with his status, he would naturally keep his word and not go back on his words. Murong Shuang's words not only brought her closer to Zhao Xianqing, but also left a perfect image of her being willing to do her best for a friend. Thank you, goddess! Zhao Xianqing saw everything. He smiled and cupped his fists. Your Highness, you're too kind! Murong Shuang got up and walked toward the 3 stones. She stretched out her right hand. At that moment, everyone noticed that Murong Shuang's right hand was extremely slender. It was a pair of unusually beautiful hands. They were crystal clear like jade, slender and slender. Whoosh! There was a flash of light. Golden light surged out. Murong Shuang's hands were changing. Her hands gradually turned golden. After seeing this scene, everyone revealed an extremely shocked expression. Golden hand! This must be the legendary golden hand! Someone exclaimed. Lin Feng was shocked. He had heard of the golden hand before. It was an extremely extraordinary physique. Such people were born to be grave robbers. It was said that the founder of the Tomb Raiders was a tomb raider. That pair of hands was very magical. There were many places where one could feel the presence of treasures with just a touch. They could even sense good and bad luck. For example, some sealed coffins. After opening it, there might be some peerless treasures and powerful inheritances inside. If one could find these things, it would naturally be a great opportunity. However, there was a saying that 9 out of 10 coffins were perilous. In other words, the tomb was actually extremely dangerous. Opening these coffins, the probability of obtaining treasures was far lower than the probability of encountering danger. Opening a coffin out of 10 times, it would be considered pretty good if a treasure was dug out even once. As for the other 9 times, there would be all kinds of dangers. For example, the corpse in the coffin could turn into a terrifying ghost corpse or a yin spirit. These were all things that could happen. Therefore, opening the coffin had to be done with caution. However, if he had the golden hand like Murong Shuang, it would be a different story. Murong Shuang's gold-digging hand only needed to touch the coffin gently. Basically, he could determine whether there was a fortuitous opportunity or danger inside. It was an opportunity to open the coffin and leave after obtaining the treasure. If it was dangerous, one would need to offer incense and worship before leaving the tomb. Of course, tomb raiding hand wasn't limited to tomb raiding. It could be used in many other ways. For example, searching for stone materials was also one of the ways to use the looting hand, and its accuracy was extremely high. Murong Shuang performed the looting hand and touched 3 pieces of stone materials. Then, her golden hands returned to their normal color. Fairy, did you sense anything special? Zhao Xianqing asked. Murong Shuang said. These 3 pieces of stone are too extraordinary. If we want to cut them, we need to be fully prepared. Fairy, do you mean that there might be danger when we cut the stones? Zhao Xianqing couldn't help but ask. These 3 pieces of stone can shield their aura. Just this point alone shows how extraordinary these 3 pieces of stone are. Therefore, no matter whether there is danger or not, we should prepare for the worst. If we don't think about the future, there will be immediate danger. We need to be prepared for all possible countermeasures. Murong Shuang said. There is an Emperor Array Palace in Jingyang Palace. It is an emperor rune that has been passed down since ancient times. This is the place where I comprehended the Tao. We can cut the stones here, Zhao Xianqing said. Many people were surprised. It was rumored that Zhao Xianqing had obtained the inheritance of a great emperor. It seemed that this rumor wasn't baseless. The Emperor Array Palace seemed to be related to the inheritance of this great emperor. All right, let's go there. With the suppression of the Emperor rune, even if there is danger, we should be able to deal with it, Murong Shuang said. She was very cautious. This was because she knew very well just how terrifying the dangers sealed within these stones were. Sometimes, even a single weapon fragment sealed within a stone could kill a peerless expert. Therefore, when cutting stones, one must be very careful, especially when cutting such a high-grade stone. One must be extra careful. Everyone come with me! Zhao Xianqing put away the 3 pieces of immortal stones and said. Everyone stood up one after another. Everyone was looking forward to what would be inside these 3 extraordinary immortal stones. Would it be something like a divine fetus or an immortal artifact? To Zhao Xianqing, as long as he was able to obtain one, it could be said to be a great opportunity. Many people outside heard that Zhao Xianqing was about to cut the stones. Many people heard that Zhao Xianqing had obtained 3 extraordinary immortal stones. Now that Zhao Xianqing was about to cut the 3 pieces of immortal stones, it naturally caused quite a stir. Many people followed him to the Emperor Ray Palace. They wanted to watch the stone-cutting event. The Emperor Ray Palace was an extremely huge palace. It was close to 300 meters tall and took up about 20 acres of land. It was entirely green and made of an unknown material. The walls of the palace were densely covered with countless runes. That's a magic treasure, Yi Futian murmured. Lin Feng was shocked. The Emperor Ray Palace was very similar to his Reincarnation Demon Palace and Chonglu Demon Palace. Others might think that it was just an ordinary palace. However, Lin Feng could feel that this palace was extraordinary. This treasure had transformed into such a huge size and was placed in Jingyang Palace by Zhao Xianqing. It was his place of cultivation, and it also suppressed Zhao Xuanqing's fortune, allowing him to have a continuous flow of fortune. This Emperor Ray Palace was truly extraordinary. Everyone rushed into the Emperor Ray Palace. The place was densely covered with Emperor runes. Therefore, it was very safe to cut the stones here. Swoosh! With a flash of light, 3 immortal stones flew out. Zhao Xianqing took a deep breath. He was going to cut the stones. However, no one expected the 3 immortal stones to change at this moment. They shot up into the sky and flew out quickly, trying to escape. Chapter 2486. The 3 immortal stones were so extraordinary that many people were shocked. Before they could react, the 3 immortal stones were about to rush out of the hall. The 3 immortal stones had turned into spirits. If they really rushed out, it would be like a flood dragon rising out of the sea. Who could stop them in this vast world? Quick, help His Highness catch them! The cultivators and guards at the entrance of the hall shouted. They wanted to grab the 3 immortal stones. Boom! All kinds of divine abilities were used to suppress the 3 immortal stones. Many cultivators attacked. Their attacks were extremely powerful. However, the 3 immortal stones were terrifying. The void shook slightly. Bam! Following a series of violent collisions, one cultivator after another was sent flying. The 3 immortal stones were simply too powerful. They possessed immense combat strength. Just as the 3 immortal stones were about to escape, suddenly, the Emperor runes in the Emperor Formation Hall intertwined and sealed the exit. The Emperor runes twisted and swept towards the 3 immortal stones. The 3 immortal stones wanted to resist the Emperor runes, and even wanted to tear them apart and rush out. However, they failed. The Emperor runes were too powerful and terrifying. Even though they had turned into spirits, they couldn't resist the Emperor runes. In the end, the 3 immortal stones were suppressed by the Emperor runes in the Emperor Formation Hall. Luckily, I came to the Emperor Formation Hall. Otherwise, the 3 immortal stones might have escaped. Zhao Xianqing sighed. Many people were amazed. The 3 immortal stones were too shocking. Were they really going to cut out a peerless divine treasure or even a holy spirit? Now, everyone was looking forward to it. Perhaps they were going to witness something extraordinary. Everyone was very excited. Zhao Xianqing was about to cut the stone. He took out his stone-cutting knife and walked towards the stone that looked like an old monk sitting cross-legged. That piece of stone material had golden light swirling around it. There were symbols surging about it. It was just too extraordinary. Perhaps such a piece of stone hid some great secrets. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Zhao Xianqing, who was about to cut the stone. They didn't know what Zhao Xianqing would cut out. Zhao Xianqing took a deep breath. His movements were very practiced. The stone-cutting knife danced in his hand like a butterfly weaving through flowers. Stone fragments swirled in the air. Soon, a large amount of stone fragments fell to the ground. Zhao Xianqing was obviously very good at cutting stones. Perhaps it was because he often cut stones. Many young masters like him were addicted to cutting stones. It was their hobby. The stone continued to shrink. Everyone was trying to guess what could be cut out of the stone, but nothing came out of it even though it continued to shrink. This caused everyone to be extremely astonished. The immortal stone was so extraordinary, yet nothing actually appeared. What was going on? Is it empty? Someone murmured. Moreover, when the immortal stone soared into the sky and wanted to escape, it displayed such a powerful battle prowess. How could it be empty? But when the immortal stone was completely cut open. This is strange. It's empty. Why did this stone display such great strength? I don't know. This stone is too strange. Many cultivators started discussing. They felt that something was wrong. The immortal stone before him was too strange. Zhao Xuanqing's face was naturally the ugliest. He originally thought that he could cut out some precious treasures, or even sacred spirits from this stone. But in the end, he didn't get anything. Zhao Xianqing was very disappointed. As the saying went, the greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. Perhaps this was what it meant. Eh? Lin Feng was surprised. He felt that something was wrong. He thought of the stone cutting he had done in the Tianwu continent. After cutting out a few pieces of stone, the treasures sealed inside had all turned to ashes. At first, Lin Feng thought that he had sensed wrongly. Later, he found out that it was because of a small stone king. It didn't want people to cut those things, so it devoured the life force of those treasures and destroyed them. The current situation was somewhat similar to that time. Fairy, what do you think? Zhao Xianqing looked at Murong Shuang. Murong Shuang observed carefully. She frowned slightly. This was the first time she had seen something like this. She found it very strange and puzzling. It's indeed a little strange. But my senses shouldn't be wrong, Murong Shuang said. Lin Feng said, Can I take a look at these 3 stones? Everyone looked at Lin Feng in unison. Brother Lin, you know about stones too? Zhao Xianqing looked at Lin Feng in surprise. I know a little, Lin Feng said. Zhao Xianqing was surprised. He didn't expect Lin Feng to be so knowledgeable. If someone like Lin Feng knew a little, it wouldn't be as simple as that. He must have some amazing means. I'll have to trouble you, Brother Lin. Zhao Xianqing cupped his fists. Lin Feng smiled and stepped forward. He came to the first stone that had been cut and looked at it carefully. The energy hasn't completely dissipated. This means that this stone was nurturing something amazing. It's a pity that the thing that was nurturing has been destroyed. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. It was exactly as he had guessed. Could it be that a Stone King-level existence was nurturing here? That's why it destroyed all the life force of that stone. Lin Feng couldn't help but ponder. He thought of the little Stone King back in the Tianwu continent. It was easy to think that something similar to the little Stone King had appeared in this place. Lin Feng walked toward the other 2 immortal stones. One was a stone that looked like a large black millstone, and the other was filled with holes. He carefully sensed it and found that these 2 stones were indeed extraordinary, but they didn't have the aura of a king among stones like the little Stone King. Lin Feng had originally guessed that one of these 2 stones might nurture a Stone King. But now, it seemed that he had guessed wrong. The stone that nurtured the Stone King wasn't one of these 2 stones. What's that kid doing? He's not trying to act mysterious, is he? Someone muttered. They felt that Lin Feng was unreliable. Lin Feng had only glanced at the stone a few times and touched it a few times. He hadn't displayed any special abilities. How could he determine whether the stone was precious or not? Perhaps there was something wrong with the stone. That was simply nonsense. Zhao Xianqing also didn't know what Lin Feng was up to, but he was a reserved person. He didn't show any signs of impatience. He asked, Brother Lin, did you notice anything amiss? Lin Feng said. I already know why I couldn't cut anything out of the old monk's cross-legged stone. It's not that there's nothing inside, but that the thing nurturing the stone was destroyed before I cut it. When Lin Feng said that, many people were astonished, but soon after, many of them sneered. Murong Shuang, the successor of an aristocratic family who had been in the stone business for generations, had the rumored golden hand, but he hadn't noticed anything wrong with the stone. Chapter 2487. Who is this kid? Is he really that capable? Even Murong Shuang, who has the golden hand, couldn't find anything special about it. How could he? Don't underestimate him. I saw him injure Huang Tianmu when I was outside. He's definitely not simple. I know who he is. He's a cultivator from the outside world. Not long ago, he was surrounded by a group of beautiful women and socialites. They talked about a lot of things outside. Maybe he's quite capable. The cultivators in the Imperial Array Palace started whispering to each other, pointing at Lin Feng. Although many people thought that Lin Feng was just trying to please the crowd, there were also some who thought that Lin Feng might have some ability. Brother Lin, what did you find? Murong Shuang looked at Lin Feng, somewhat unconvinced. Murong Shuang's research on stone materials had surpassed many of the older cultivators in the clan, so she was now skeptical of Lin Feng's words. Said Lin Feng. Look at that stone, it's already been cut open, the energy hasn't dispersed. That kind of energy is extremely pure. Ordinary things can't produce that kind of energy. Even though the stone can seal that kind of energy, it doesn't contain the qi of the stone. It means that the energy didn't come into direct contact with the stone. There's only one explanation for that kind of situation: the stone used to contain that kind of energy. That's why the energy didn't come into direct contact with the stone. That's why the energy didn't come into direct contact with the stone. That's why the energy didn't come into direct contact with the stone. That's why the energy didn't come into direct contact with the stone. That's why the energy didn't come into direct contact with the stone. This? Murong Shuang frowned. Murong Shuang frowned. Lin Feng's explanation left her speechless. In fact, she had also felt that kind of energy before, but she didn't think much of it. She thought that the energy was the energy contained in the stone, but she didn't expect that to be the case. Murong Shuang said, even if it's as you said, and the thing nurtured in the stone was destroyed before it was cut, who would have the ability to destroy the treasure in the stone before it was cut? Zhao Xianqing nodded and said, there are so many of us here. If someone did something, it would be impossible to hide it from everyone. What if it wasn't a human who destroyed the stone? Lin Feng said meaningfully. Not human? What is it? Everyone looked at Lin Feng in confusion. Murong Shuang had a deeper understanding of stones. When she heard what Lin Feng said, she looked at Lin Feng in shock and said, are you trying to say? Lin Feng nodded and said, it seems that Fairy Murong has already guessed it. What is it? Hurry up and tell me. Many people were anxious and wanted to know the answer. Stone King? Zhao Xianqing said. He had heard about the Stone King, who had the power to control the life and death of all stones. He could instantly take away the vitality of everything in the stone. What? Stone King? Oh my God, is this true? The birth of the Stone King? The Stone King has always been a creature of legends. Is there really a Stone King here? Many cultivators exclaimed. They couldn't believe their ears. The Stone King was too extraordinary. The birth of a Stone King was enough to shock the world. Yes. Lin Feng nodded, confirming Zhao Xuanqing's answer. There was no need to hide it, because there was indeed a Stone King in this place. It was very terrifying. It was able to hide it from everyone. If Lin Feng hadn't seen the young Stone King's ability before, he wouldn't have known that there was a Stone King here. The young Stone King Lin Feng had seen before was definitely much weaker than the one in front of him. The Stone King in front of him was very well hidden. It would take some effort to find it. Could it be one of the two stones? Zhao Xuanqing's eyes shone brightly. If he could subdue a stone king that hadn't been born yet, it would be too heaven-defying. He would be able to use the Stone King's power to do many things. No. Lin Feng shook his head. It's not. Everyone was puzzled. They felt that the chances of a Stone King being born were the highest among the two stones. Indeed, it's not. The Stone King's aura is very special, Murong Shuang said. She had never seen the King of Stone. However, she had seen a piece of stone in her family's collection a few years ago. That piece of stone was said to have been formed after a Stone King broke out of the stone. Even after countless years, that piece of stone still had a trace of the Stone King's aura. Therefore, Murong Shuang was able to tell that those two stones were not the ones that had given birth to the Stone King. If it's not those two stones, then where is the Stone King? Someone asked. They wanted to see the Stone King's true face. Everyone looked at Lin Feng, wanting to know more about the situation from Lin Feng. Zhao Xianqing said, "The Stone King destroyed my stones. That's abominable. I wonder if you can find the Stone King, Brother Lin? I want to subdue the Stone King." Many people muttered in their hearts. Was it true that Zhao Xianqing wanted to refine the Stone King? Lin Feng smiled and said, "I can try. However, if you want me to do something, you need to pay me." This guy, after saying so much, I feel like he's just laying the groundwork for this sentence. The surrounding cultivators rolled their eyes at him. However, they remembered that there was no free lunch in the world. Lin Feng wanted to ask for a reward. It was a reasonable thing to do. Of course. What do you want, Brother Lin? Zhao Xianqing asked. Since we're going to cut stones today, how about this? I'll choose one of those two stones as my reward. Lin Feng pointed at the millstone and the cavern stone. This guy really knows how to choose. Either of those stones is a priceless treasure. A cultivator said. Zhao Xianqing frowned slightly. The reward made his heart ache. Don't worry. If you can't find the Stone King, I won't take your reward. However, if you can find the Stone King and subdue him, it has nothing to do with me. Lin Feng said. Zhao Xianqing gritted his teeth and said, Fine. Lin Feng carefully examined the two stones. Then, he pointed at the cavern stone and said, I'll take this one. No problem. Zhao Xianqing said. Lin Feng said, Sealed the courtyard outside the Imperial Formation Hall with Imperial runes. Zhao Xianqing nodded and activated his Imperial runes. Lines of Imperial runes intertwined and sealed the courtyard outside the Imperial Formation Hall. Is there really a Stone King? Many people were shocked. They felt that this matter was not fake. Lin Feng seemed to really want to find the Stone King. Chapter 2488. Lin Feng knew very well how terrifying a creature like the Stone King was. It was almost impossible to suppress or even refine the Stone King. Even if he could suppress the Stone King for a short period of time, it would not be easy to refine the Stone King. The Stone King was too terrifying and too powerful. It was the king of the Stone Clan, and it had many unimaginable abilities. If one wanted to refine the Stone King, they might end up suffering a calamity. However, Lin Feng's ability to refine the Stone King was Zhao Xuanqing's problem. Lin Feng did not care if Zhao Xianqing could refine the Stone King or not. The courtyard outside the Emperor Ray Palace was very big. This was where Zhao Xianqing usually cultivated. After cultivating, he would need a good rest. Zhao Xianqing liked to find a quiet place to rest or take a stroll. That was why he had built such a huge courtyard. Why are you looking for it outside? I've never placed any stones in the courtyard, Zhao Xianqing said. He had some doubts in his heart, and he did not hide his thoughts. He asked directly, hoping to get an answer. Where do you think the Stone King is hiding, Brother Zhao? Lin Feng asked. Could it be in someone's body? Zhao Xianqing asked. He had such doubts. He felt that the Stone King that Lin Feng mentioned was very likely to be on someone, and it had followed them to his courtyard. Lin Feng shook his head. As the king of the Stone Clan, the Stone King is extremely noble. Such a noble existence has always been in control of everything. How could it be hiding on someone? Zhao Xianqing pondered. He also felt that Lin Feng's words made sense. The Stone Clan was arrogant to begin with, let alone the Stone King level existence. Existences like them look down on other races and living beings. Not to mention hiding in the bodies of other races and living beings. To them, this was simply a humiliation. It was an insult to their noble bloodline. Why do you think the Stone King level existence is here, Brother Lin? Murong Shuang asked. There are only 3 reasons. The first reason is that the Stone King sneaked out from the Imperial Formation Palace. The second reason is that the Stone King was originally sleeping here, but it has now awakened. The third reason is that the Stone King coveted something in the Imperial Formation Palace, so it quietly came here from the outside and hibernated, looking for an opportunity to enter the palace and steal what it wants. Lin Feng said. Everyone looked at Zhao Xianqing at the same time. Many felt that the Imperial Formation Palace was extraordinary. This could very well be something left behind by a great emperor or an expert who had surpassed the great emperor level. A palace like this must contain many secrets, treasures, and legacies. Of course, now that Lin Feng had broken through to the heavenly god realm, he was qualified to enter the 4th floor. But Lin Feng decided that after leaving the celestial territory of the 9 provinces, he would go to the 4th floor and have a look. Zhao Xianqing said. Brother Lin, you might be right. The Stone King is hibernating here with evil intentions. Brother Lin, you must find him, Lin Feng said. I've been paid to do this. Don't worry. I'll do my best to find the Stone King. Lin Feng walked around the courtyard, looking for the Stone King. Lin Feng relied on the Celestial Master Path's inheritance to communicate with the energy of the earth veins. He could sense the Stone King's aura. The energy of the earth veins was very special. The 9 veins of the heavens. The 9 veins of the earth. This was the ultimate power of the world. The energy of the earth veins was one of the 9 veins of the earth. It was also one of the powers that the Celestial Master Path's inheritors possessed. Found it. Lin Feng sensed the special qi. It was extremely cold and gloomy, like a ferocious beast. Lin Feng's heart was pounding. Lin Feng guessed that it was the Stone King's aura. However, the Stone King's aura soon disappeared. The Stone King is hiding in the dark. He can communicate with the power of the world and hide his aura. It won't be easy to find him. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. There's water in the pond. Is he hiding in the water? Lin Feng couldn't help but wonder. Water restrained the energy of the earth veins. It was indeed a good place to hide. He quickly walked towards the pond. Let's follow him, many people said as they quickly followed Lin Feng. There were all kinds of fish in the pond. Apart from those fish, there were also lotus flowers. Lin Feng looked around carefully, but he didn't find anything. Is the Stone King that powerful? Lin Feng frowned. The Stone King was able to hide from the heavens. He didn't know where it was hiding. Even the power of the 9 earth veins couldn't find it. Now that the Stone King had completely isolated his aura, Lin Feng couldn't sense his existence. If he's in this courtyard, I should be able to find him, Lin Feng muttered to himself. He continued to walk alone in the courtyard. In the end, Lin Feng stopped under an old tree to think. This ancient tree required more than 10 people to wrap their arms around it. It was vigorous and powerful, and its thick trunk was like the body of a giant dragon. Its cracked old skin was like pieces of dragon scales. He's really good at hiding, Lin Feng sighed. He couldn't find the whereabouts of the Stone King. At that moment, Lin Feng suddenly sensed a weak aura. That aura seemed to be complacent. The Stone King. That was the Stone King's aura. The Stone King had been perfectly hidden. However, he saw that Lin Feng couldn't find him. That was why he became complacent. That was why his perfect hiding revealed a flaw. But soon, that aura disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng looked around the courtyard. He still couldn't find the Stone King's hiding place. He lowered his head and pondered. At that moment, he saw a stone block under the old tree. The stone block was very simple, but it also looked very ordinary. When he saw the stone block, Lin Feng showed an extremely surprised expression. Although the stone block looked very ordinary, Lin Feng felt that there was something special about it. However, Lin Feng looked carefully and didn't find anything strange. That made him feel a little strange. However, Lin Feng had always been very confident in his intuition. He couldn't find anything special about the stone block. Lin Feng's intuition told him that the stone block was probably the Stone King he was looking for. Is that the Stone King? Lin Feng frowned slightly. But then he smiled bitterly. If this stone block was the Stone King, just how much did this fellow despise the cultivators in the courtyard for him to be able to lie down here in such a brazen manner? Boom! Lin Feng made his move. He directly used the 8 divine seals to seal the stone block. Chapter 2489. Eh? That kid is making a move! Is he going to seal a stone block? How strange! Could that stone stool be the Stone King? The onlookers discussed fervently. The stone block looked ordinary and didn't seem to have a powerful origin. However, Lin Feng's action confused them. If it was just an ordinary stone block, why would Lin Feng seal it? However, at that moment, a terrifying aura spread out from the stone block. Next, an earth-shattering power surged out. That powerful aura shot towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng's attack collided with the powerful aura. Even though Lin Feng wasn't injured, he was still sent flying by the powerful aura. That terrifying aura was extraordinary, shocking Lin Feng. Heavens! Is that really the Stone King? Many people exclaimed. The stone block had displayed such a terrifying power. It was too shocking. Lin Feng didn't continue to charge forward. He quickly retreated. Since he had found the Stone King, what happened next had nothing to do with him. Ha! Stone King, no matter how good you are at hiding, you won't be able to escape today! Zhao Xianqing laughed and stepped forward. Imperial runes intertwined in the air and pressed down on the Stone King. A disdainful voice came from the stone stool. Do you think an ant like you can suppress me? You're daydreaming! It was the Stone King's voice. Clearly, he was very arrogant and didn't care about Zhao Xianqing at all. The Stone King was the king of the Stone Clan. He had always been aloof and looked down on other clans. Of course, he was qualified to do so because he was too talented. The Stone Clan had always been a race with heaven-defying talents. The Stone Clan was much more talented than the average Stone Clan member. Even though the Stone King hadn't fully matured yet, he was still extremely terrifying. Stone King, don't boast too early! Zhao Xianqing sneered with an incomparably cold expression on his face. His face was ice cold, revealing a chilling intent. Lines of Emperor runes were activated by him. Zhao Xianqing could already control these Emperor runes with great proficiency. These Emperor runes were all from the Emperor Array Palace. It seemed like his control over the Emperor Array Palace had reached an extremely high level. Not even the Emperor runes can trap me! The Stone King sneered. It didn't choose to run. It was extremely arrogant. Terrifying energy surged out of the stone pillars. Streams of energy rippled out, nearly dispersing the Emperor runes in the void. This kind of ability was shocking. The fact that the Stone King could contend against Emperor runes was just too terrifying. Humph! Today, I'll kill all of you and snatch the item from the Emperor Formation Palace. King Stone sneered. Following that, a terrifying ripple surged out from the stone block. It was like the sound of death, spreading in all directions. Bang, bang, bang! Immediately after, one cultivator after another exploded, dying a miserable death on the spot. The Stone King devoured the flesh and blood of the dead cultivators. Hurry up and get out of here! Zhao Xianqing shouted in a deep voice. He used the Emperor runes to suppress the Stone King, then opened the seal to let the others out. Soon, the other cultivators rushed out of the courtyard. Only Zhao Xianqing and the Stone King were left in the courtyard. Zhao Xianqing used the Emperor runes to fight the Stone King, but the Stone King was too terrifying. Although Zhao Xuanqing's battle prowess was getting stronger, he still couldn't suppress the Stone King. Instead, he was suppressed by the Stone King. Zhao Xianqing began to use the power of the Monarch Array Palace. This treasure was extremely powerful. Zhao Xuanqing's mind was connected to it. He could easily use the power of the Monarch Array Palace. After using the power of the Monarch Array Palace, Zhao Xuanqing's strength increased greatly. When he used the Emperor runes again, the power of the Emperor runes increased significantly. The Stone King's expression darkened slightly. He naturally wasn't afraid of Zhao Xianqing. If he had more time, he could even kill Zhao Xianqing. However, he needed to hurry up and break the seal in the depths of the Monarch Array Palace to obtain the item. It would be troublesome if the old antiques of the Nine States Immortal Empire arrived. Although the Stone King was arrogant, he knew his current level of cultivation. "Let's end this quickly!" The Stone King sneered and sent Zhao Xianqing flying. Then, he rushed toward the palace. Inside the Monarch Array Palace, runes intertwined, trying to stop the Stone King. However, the Stone King was too powerful. The Monarch Array Palace couldn't stop him. He rushed into the depths of the Monarch Array Palace. "What is the Stone King looking for?" Lin Feng was shocked. He didn't know what the Stone King was looking for. It must be an extraordinary treasure. Otherwise, the Stone King wouldn't have been willing to hide for so long. "Looks like there's a huge secret hidden in the Monarch Array Palace. I really want to take a look." The Demon Lord sighed. He was itching to make a move. At that moment, a terrifying wave of energy came from the depths of the Monarch Array Palace. Vaguely, one could see a light giant condensing and fighting the Stone King. Zhao Xianqing rushed in and joined the battle. However, the Stone King unleashed his power and sent Zhao Xianqing flying. Zhao Xuanqing's face was as pale as paper. His dermic powers were almost scattered. "Give me a hand!" the Stone King shouted. A terrifying wave of energy surged out. In an instant, 2 immortal stones in the Monarch Array Palace flew toward him. It wasn't just the 2 celestial stones. All the cultivators outside who had stones on them took the initiative to fly toward the Emperor Formation Palace. The stones exploded in the air. All the stones turned into pure energy, which was quickly absorbed by the Stone King. The Stone King's strength increased greatly. He was almost as strong as the light giant condensed from the Monarch Array Palace. The Stone King wanted to devour the last 2 stones. At that moment, the millstone suddenly spun violently and broke free from the Stone King's devouring. "That millstone is definitely a heaven-defying stone!" many people exclaimed. The millstone was too powerful. After breaking free from the Stone King's devouring, they wondered what was inside. "My stones are the Stone King who deserves 1,000 cuts!" Lin Feng shouted. His hollowed stone couldn't break free from the Stone King's devouring. It quickly flew toward the Stone King. A terrifying power surged out of the stone block, trying to destroy the hollowed stone. Lin Feng wailed in his heart. Was such a precious stone going to be destroyed? It was his reward for helping him find the Stone King. Just when everyone thought the hollowed stone was going to be destroyed. At that moment, golden energy surged out of the holes on the hollowed stone. No one knew what kind of energy it was. The hollowed stone smashed toward the Stone King. Bang! Along with the sound of a violent collision, there was a loud sound. The Stone King was sent flying. The energy around him began to crumble. Crack, crack. Chapter 2490. The King of the Stone Nation had displayed a heaven-defying strength. But now, he was suppressed by the whole stone. Everyone's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. "What?" Lin Feng was dumbfounded. He couldn't believe his eyes. The whole stone was so powerful. The whole stone was suppressing a Stone King. Where did the whole stone come from? "Impossible!" shouted the Stone King. He couldn't believe it. He was the Stone King, the king of the Stone Clan. But now, he was being suppressed by a stone. Even the stone that gave birth to him was cracking. The Stone King couldn't accept it. It was a huge humiliation for him. The Stone King was furious. He roared and pounced on the whole stone, trying to destroy it. Golden light flowed inside the whole stone. It was an extraordinary stone. When the Stone King flew over, the whole stone struck him again. It was as if Mount Tai was pressing down. It fell from the sky. With a loud bang, the attack landed on the Stone Monarch's body. The Stone King was blown away again. This time, the Stone King was hit even harder. The cracks on the stone were even more severe than before. It could completely crack at any time. It was a very bad situation. A huge black vortex suddenly appeared in the depths of the Imperial Array Palace. It released a terrifying devouring power that enveloped the Stone King. The Imperial Array Palace had a spirit. It seized this rare opportunity to deal with the Stone King. The Stone King was at his weakest. It was the best time to suppress him. You dare to suppress me? Stone King roared angrily, suddenly shaking everything. The black vortex was about to collapse. It couldn't devour the Stone King. Swish! A light flashed. The whole stone struck the Stone King with a beam of golden light. The Stone King's power was dispersed. In the next moment, the Stone King was devoured. Heaven-defying! That stone is truly heaven-defying. Even the Stone King is no match for it. Just what is its origin? Many people shouted in shock. The Imperial Array Palace calmed down. The millstone and the whole stone also calmed down and landed in the palace. The Monarch Formation Palace devoured the Stone King. This made Zhao Xianqing very excited. He activated the Emperor runes and the cultivators outside rushed into the Emperor Array Hall. Many people rushed towards the stone. Some of them even looked at it, as if they wanted to snatch the stone. The Kongdongsher now belonged to Lin Feng, not Zhao Xianqing. If they tried to snatch the stone by force, Zhao Xianqing probably wouldn't care about it. Lin Feng sneered, feeling the greed of some people. He quickly arrived in front of the stone and said, "Everyone, this stone is my reward. Don't try anything funny. Otherwise, I'll let you have a taste of a fist bigger than a sandbag. Little Sweetie will send you flying." Little Tian Tian also waved her little fist.